Alright, everybody, welcome on into our Fear the Old Lore Bloodborne Unpatched finale. I hope everyone's doing pretty well. So yesterday we ended up running into some technical difficulties, I guess. Like, I kind of lost internet, but not really, so we'll kind of just finish off the little bit that we have left, and maybe I'll just play like a little bit of a New Game Plus after the fact. I'm not entirely sure. So it is storming again here, so hopefully things stay stable, but we'll see. So where we had finished off yesterday was coming through Tumaru Isle, and we've gone through like the first portion of the second layer, and we're going to fight the headless bloodletting beast next. So welcome on in, everybody. Blue Mew, Joseph Sokoloski, Minmaxed, Havel the Bunk, Mega Blair, Copy the Pasty, Brant, Estella. Welcome back in. The Gangsta's Paradise thing happened again? What are you talking about? The Blood Queen will have no idea what's about to hit her. Love when the music kicks in. Nice. Okay. Oh, okay. Is that a troll face, Parl, I typed? So that's one of our channel emotes. So it's what I call Parl Champ. So it's kind of like my channel's version of the Pog Champ emote. Not a crowd. And then's welcome in. Sad to see this end soon. You loved watching these? Well, it's a pleasure having you all. Right, so last time we did come in, we got clapped. I was trying to show off that the headless bloodletting beast shoots insectoid projectiles at the player, and they cause rapid poisoning damage, if I remember correctly. And I'll try to show that off this time. But yeah, he's way over there. He's probably going to clap me, unless we clap him. So yeah, these first couple runs I'll probably just kind of back off to show some of his attacks. Oh, the Bloodborne soundtrack sounded like Gangsta's Paradise? Oh man, that's super loud. Need to turn that down. So we need to kind of like get far away for him to shoot his insects at us. So you can kind of see them. They kind of look like bees, but they're essentially like the hateful maggots, but a lot smaller, and they have wings. So if I had the means right now, I would just like freeze it on one frame to show them off. Actually, I don't remember if I took a picture of them. No, I don't think I did. I think I was just looking at them. So hopefully you guys saw it. If not, you could always just pause it in the VOD later on. Alright. So I think, if I remember correctly, I was looking at the 1.00 page on Meph's wiki about some of the differences between the versions, and I guess this one's like pretty bugged out as far as the headless bloodletting beast goes. Like, it still kind of thinks its head is there for a while. I don't know how different it is on like the retail batch, but I think you can still visceral its head and it'll act like it's there for certain attacks, so it's a little bit bugged. Oh, speaking of bugs. Oh, I had 0 echoes before? Okay, so that was a lot of wasted effort. Chill out, man. Not sure which way I should have rolled. I think I might have just been in a bad spot. And Acid X, welcome back in. Let's see if it gets with the program this time and dies. Yeah. Alright. So let's not waste the effort to pick up all 0 of our blood echoes and take him down. I guess I should also prep the emergency bullets beforehand. Double damage. Oh, that might have been it as well. Yeah, this one is a very challenging boss, because he's harder to escape some of his attacks with the bugs and whatnot. Holy crap, that chunked him. Oh. Like, I tried to fire once, but it just, like, didn't go for whatever reason. Screw this guy. I lied. He's easy mode. I was just building up the suspense. I meant to record that too and completely forgot. Timber Isle. Root Chalice, which we can't use. So this chalice description is the one that talks about the Dumerian Monarch and her title. You think you've killed him with the arcane? Use the glove to keep the distance. You think my way's faster? Yeah, we could probably like speedrun a New Game Plus. I don't know how well it'll scale the arcane rifle spear, but it's pretty funny to me still. All right, thanks for the GGs. Is counter damage still at 200%? I think so. Alright, so blah blah blah. The Dumerian Monarch was traditionally a woman who assumed a name with classical roots. So this English description makes it sound a bit more vague, I suppose, whereas like the Japanese is clear that I think it was Yharnam specifically. Let me look that up. I think I also misspoke. So I think it said that it was Yharnam specifically. Okay, so no, it's more like the monarch of Tumeru is traditionally female, and it is said that their name has been inherited for generations, essentially. So it's not just any old name with classical roots; it's an inherited name. And so I think that just kind of goes down to Queen Yharnam and that stuff. Although it does say in the Isle Chalice that it's the title of both the monarch and its capital. So I guess, let me look at that in Japanese, because I wonder if it's just title or versus the name. It just says that it means like capital as well as the monarch. So, I don't know. A little bit strange. Not terribly important. Just, it's kind of more or less my headcanon that the name Yharnam itself has been passed on for generations. And so, it wouldn't be too much of a surprise that the city of Yharnam was named after their monarchs if they were kind of all named Yharnam. Kind of like how stuff like that can happen in real life. Like Elizabeth, George, Henry. And those are just some monarchs. Like, it even extends down to popes and whatnot like that. Phobos, welcome back in, Derek. So anyways, I started blasting, pretty much. So there was a Queen Yharnam, first, second, third, and so forth, perhaps. Maybe they didn't have, like, they didn't list their generations, but it was certainly a thing, it seems. So that's where that is. I don't remember if the side area connects to the corpse where we can get the Great One Cold Blood. I'm pretty confident it doesn't, but this is the third layer. We'll see. So it's meant as a name, not some name. It's a specific name, and one that's been inherited. Max, welcome back in, as well as Mercy. Yeah, but Fobo says it's an ancient name and it's been inherited, and that name is most likely Yharnam because that's what the queen is called. So we get the messenger bath here, and the uncanny and lost stuff was added, I think, even after the DLC came out. If I remember the patch notes correctly, I think they came out 1.07, and the DLC was in 1.06 for quick reference. So anyway, I started blasted. Kin Cold Blood. Kin Cold Blood. I remember this corpse from some of my videos. and the messenger bath. So yeah, for my video, I don't remember which video it was because I've got like 3 videos about the damn old blood. Feel a little bit like a broken record. But I showed off these messengers, like, oh, these guys are spirits of the dead. And then I showed off that course, but like, hey, look, you get kin cold blood on like enemies. Although I don't think I really pointed it out on that one. So yeah, I'm pretty confident right here opens up to like the garden room. No, I guess I'm wrong. And then eventually the no, okay, I am right. And then the Great One Cold Blood. So there's going to be 2 Great One Cold Bloods we can get on this layer. One's going to be at the very end of this hall, and then there's like a room behind it, guarded by a fat roller. And I think there's just like a bunch of small enemies with it as well. Alright. This one isn't it. US bullets, that's fine. So this is like the corpse that I was talking about that has the Great One Cold Blood on it. It's kind of important. Stupid torch. I guess I could use that. May as well get some more footage of this. Do we really think that this guy is a great one? So that's one of the more fun things to look at right there. Is this a great one? Yeah. Alright, so Phoba says, because it makes no sense to tell the player that the king name had classical roots because we don't know what the classical Dumerian roots are. Yeah. So it's pointing at a specific name having ancient roots, so you think I'm totally right. Okay. Copy says, yeah, you can get Uncanny and Lost DLC items in the baths if you already have the normal one, but you can find the Uncanny and Lost non-DLC ones in root dungeons as drops and just, yes. Queen Yharnam, a Virgin Mary allegory? I think it's plausible because we do get the Ring of Betrothal, and it says that they're like slated to bear special children. So if the Dumerian monarchs are wedded to quote-unquote great ones and they don't have like traditional husbands, I think that concept of like immaculate conception plays out. Although I think I got a comment on one of my videos like, that's not immaculate conception, and they probably chewed me a new one, and I don't remember the real point of it. So, rip. Right, let's check out the Great One Cold Blood. So this is relic containing the blood echoes of a Great One. Used to gain cosmetically nightmarish blood echoes. Like a true revelation, this uncanny relic defies understanding. So, is that different? I think it's the same. I guess it does say it contains the blood echoes of a Great One. That's interesting. So yeah, going back to like some of the more controversial opinions, I don't even want to say like this is an opinion that I have. It's more like a thought that I've had, and it might be worth entertaining. And I might even make a video about this someday, just because it's wild enough that some people might like it. So since we can literally pick the Great One Cold Blood up off of this corpse of a Dumerian, and it's in like Tumaru Isle in the Story Chalice dungeons, perhaps this is meant to indicate that the Dumerians were on the levels of Great Ones, and when we do fight like Queen Yharnam and whatnot, we can probably make the argument that she at the very least was a Great One, because allegedly her consciousness is what persists in the little Yharnam stone. It's a lot of lightning. Alright. Great guy, maybe? Star comes and bears a child through a virgin. It's not immaculate, it's kinky. Mary was chosen by God by virtue of being the purest woman. Queen Yharnam was chosen by virtue of being the most impure woman, is how I would kind of make that correlation. Right, okay, Stella has it. Immaculate conception is being conceived without the taint of original sin. So, yeah, as far as like Catholicism goes, that's that's a really big difference. But I think just in terms of like a more secular perspective, most people would think of Immaculate Conception as a virgin giving birth to a child. So aside from like the whole like Jesus thing, I think most other, maybe not most other, but people who are more interested in like world religions would compare the situation to a god like Mithra, also being born of a virgin. So right. So Phobos says, you think it depends on whether Murgo has a parent that's a great one? They flip the script and purity of blood is a virtue? Yeah, kind of. Peaceful Joint, welcome in. What if he was simply holding the blink like we are? I think your message got cut off there, unfortunately. Did I shoot? Or is that something else? That was weird. I just noticed that, like, it looks like there's a red... Okay. I wonder if they're, like, wounded or something. No, I'm not too worried. What if he was simply holding the Great One Cold Blood? I think that's a fair interpretation for sure. Which is partially why I don't necessarily think that the Dumerians were Great Ones. But with all that being said, when we look at like the artwork book, it says like the Forbidden Woods holds like the graves of Great Ones. And so do we literally think that they are Great One graves? Or were they like Dumerian graves? Are they just meant as memorials for Great Ones crafted by the Dumerians? I think these are kind of all valid questions worth asking, even if our answers may differ individually. You wonder why Queen Yharnam's consciousness is called horrific when everything else suggests she was mostly a victim? So that's a good question, I think. And also welcome back to the stream, Purple. Murgo might be an inverted Messiah allegory, and you notice the wet nurse has limbs frozen in a bit of a T-pose. Maybe a crucifix symbol? I don't know about the wet nurse thing, but it's possible with what you said with the rest, I suppose. If that's the case, Phobos would argue Yharnam's consciousness persisting is due to having been Murgo's mother, having been one with them. It's possible, because at least with Ariana, we do see that there is some kind of, like, psionic connection to the mother and the child that's kind of hard to quantify otherwise. Oh, my lock-on did not work. And then I got all of them aggroed. It's not exactly what I wanted. Oh, wow. That was probably close to disaster. Show blood tier 5. Alright, so this is the treasure, and the other Great One, Cold Blood, is on a corpse in the little corner over there. We get a yellow backbone. I don't think I've actually showed off that item in this version of the game. The description is slightly different, but it's not terribly important. It's not this corpse, it's the next one, if I remember correctly. QS bullets. Alright, so at least 2 versions of Great One Cold Blood are found in literally the deepest Chalice dungeon layer as far as the story content goes. Alright. Astanek says maybe it's due to her power. She clearly is strong enough to not die after all that's happened to her. Yeah. But it is also important to point out, like, for the Queen Yharnam fight, she does, like, rub the baby to do some of the attacks. Not all of them. And there is, like, a connection between the crying voice of potentially Murgo or just Queen Yharnam's child and spells as well. So we don't really need to go through the rest of it here. I just kind of wanted to show off the Great One Coldblood. So we'll go back to the main portion of this level, because this is the side area, I think. That's weird. Okay. So that just goes back, so okay. Didn't want to drop down. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of hard and fast rules on what defines a Great One. They're greater beings, but what that manifests as on a case-by-case basis has varied quite a bit. Right, I agree with that. Boba says, if Yharnam and arguably Annalise both bore children of blood without a father, then the blood might be the means to make them Great Ones. That's kind of how I feel. Like, the child of blood is probably, like, the Great One, and I would assume, like, Annalise and Queen Yharnam would be Great One adjacent, if not Great Ones themselves. Because at least with Annalise, she is immortal, and we kind of see that. Granted, like, her immortality is sort of also the product of the Altar of Despair, but I don't think it's enough to, like, really diminish her strength or whatever you want to call it. Let's put the HUD back on. Yeah, and the Dumerians are described as superhuman in the English, so considering, like, how humanity would be the basest of levels and superhuman would literally be above it, I mean, they might not be great ones, but they're, like, slightly better ones then. So, it's kind of hard to rationalize some of those things. Oh, he's got the repeating pistol. So this dude's wearing a Tomb Prospector gear, he has the Kirk hammer and the repeating pistol. So that does show, like, the Healing Church was, like, this far down, I suppose. Some more blood jugs, that's cool. Horrific isn't necessarily a judgment against her, just a description of the feeling it inspires. Yeah, that I would agree with that, David. Like, a mutilated corpse can be horrific to see and be a victim. That's a good point. So there's something else over there. Tempering damps. So we get like 2 or 3 like Temeri Knights over there. I don't think there's a mother scorpion in this area. Just annoying ones. Ow. Holy crap. Oh wow, they got me. That's kind of funny. You wonder what Lawrence's idea was if it wasn't to use the blood as a lure for Great Ones? Yeah, it's kind of hard to say what his idea was. I mean, with him establishing blood healing, he probably didn't know everything, because, like, Willem's like, hey, don't be an idiot, and Lawrence is like, I'm not, and then he does that exactly right afterward. So, like, with the cut content, there's, like, potentially Lawrence arguing with Gehrman. We don't know what their contract was, because Gehrman says he's, like, waiting for Lawrence. I guess I never tried to show that off this stream. But yeah, I don't know. There's quite a few things which don't match up completely, unfortunately. Do we get another blood jug from that? Okay, no, it seems to be unique. I figured it would be, but I don't know. Do you think Udin is a potential candidate for the father of Murgo? The sonic psionic crying could be an inherited trait. I think it's definitely plausible. It'd be harder to say what the father role would be if not Udin, I suppose. Mid ones? Exactly. So, as far as, like, the Japanese goes, they're just pretty much called, like, superior beings. So, just, like, higher rank ones. Did I not do that? No, I'm pretty sure I did. I probably just wasted a lot of bullets. Dirty damp. You know the NPC hunters have max stats? Meet someone as broken as me? Is its stats really maxed? I mean, he died in like 3 blasts. So yeah, these dudes are cool. I think they have the shields on that we see just littering the ground at places. So maybe the shields and armor folk belong to the Dumerians and not like other cultures. It's kind of weird how many there are and whatnot though. Damn it. He's gonna shield bash me, that's cool. Asenex said, oh, a German spy has proved it. So yeah, a German spy, he worked on the guide, so if he said it, it might be true. I haven't bothered to like get a character to the max level possible to find out, so it's kind of weird though, because I like that Kirkhammer hunter isn't necessarily like notorious for being difficult, whereas like everyone's like, oh my god, the freaking bloody crow. Well, I guess part of the bloody crow would just be like the damn blood tinged gun being broken as crap. Great One's Wisdom, and yeah. I mean, pretty vanilla Chalice Dungeon layouts. All the hanged corpses, which I've talked about a ton. And I don't remember what's in here. I think it's just like a watcher in the lever. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, and then there's gonna be the gargoyle boys just chilling. Any idea if there's a direct relationship between Annalise, Abritus, and or Ram? So, I would say yes about... Well, let me rephrase this, I suppose. Technically, no. If you want to attach all 3 of them together. But at least with Ram and Abritus, there's potentially the stuff with the Heirloom. Damn, these things are kind of tanky. But that doesn't really connect to Annalise in any meaningful way that I can recall. So that's that for this side area. And just the connection between Abritus and Ram would be with the eye rune, which I've mentioned on the previous streams. Think there could be a connection between the sack dudes and the wet nurse hunting babies for her? Maybe, because there are a lot of sack dudes in Yahar'gul, and the School of Mensis controlled Yahar'gul, but it's hard to say how it all fits together, because there even are sack dudes here. But I don't really know if the wet nurse has much agency over the school, because I would imagine there'd be more flavor text to describe the relationship, other than the wet nurse swoops in to try to stop the baby crying and it's just not working, I guess. Or it's trying to convert the baby into one of its own children, depending on how you look at the role of the wet nurse and certain aspects of Japanese folklore. Gems can double or triple your power if an NPC has max stats and no gems. Oh yeah, that's a fair point. Silent Protagonist, welcome in. What's my favorite weapon to use? DLC included? My favorite's the Threaded Cane, although this is kind of making a run for its money. They look a lot alike. Could explain why I find a moon rune in the sack dudes in the jail. C Music says, do we find those winged gargoyle things from Canehurst in any other Chalice dungeons? Yeah, they were in some of the other ones. I don't remember if it was Lauren or the previous Tumaru. We've seen them before in this run. I just don't remember off the top of my head. The Altar of Despair is so puzzling. Even with the alpha stuff, there seems to be nothing on it, save for that one cutscene Lance found. Yeah, and I don't know if he actually found anything in it other than just he dissected it to be oh yeah, this was supposed to be a cutscene, but it's really nothing. Asenex never got why Threaded was good. The DPS low is next to the Cane and the Whirligig. So it has a really fast moveset in its untransformed form. It can use Righteous and Serrated damage and Thrust damage. So not only that, when you transform it, it's really good for crowd control, whereas the other weapons are a little bit more one-dimensional in the points they excel at. Overall, the Saw Cleaver is probably like the quote-unquote best, just because of how well it works with like Beast Blood Pellets and things like that. But okay, so coming next, we will fight Queen Yharnam, and I'll probably do this fight a few times just to show off a few of her mechanics and all that, and I'll just talk during it. You like the Whirligig more than the hammer? Yharnam, Dumerian Queen. So I wanted to show her name off. I guess I should have shown that like once we get hit by her projectiles, she deals rapid poison damage to us. She's got some pretty cool attacks. I almost said they're a little underwhelming though right before that happened, so I'm glad I didn't. And my favorite attack of her is this one where she will like summon this vacuum around her, kind of like how the Snatchers have like the little like big black cloud dome thing. But hers will cause us to like fly in the air, and it will literally drain our HP. Well, I guess she doesn't regain HP, but it causes us to lose HP without any kind of form of direct contact. I think it's kind of reminiscent of the Moon Presence's drain, a Brightess's aura that she screams with. So, Copy recently tried the cane for the first time, and you were surprised how effective it is. So the cane is kind of more of a weapon where you need to understand the mechanics of the game to really get the most out of it, I think. It's a fun one, though. Favorite boss fight? I think Ludwig. Just because I really like the mechanics that they... Alright, so maybe we're back now. That's just an OBS thing. It shouldn't even be my internet. That's annoying. Alright, yeah, okay, I see myself moving around on stream now. So, in case it did get cut out, I was saying my favorite boss is probably Ludwig. At least for the flavor, I like Yharnam and the Moon Presence. They're just a little bit underwhelming. Oh, I still got hit by it. So, when the baby cries, we can get stunned. I rolled through it, and it's kind of interesting that the baby cries when you get close to the queen. And that uses the exact same sound files as like what we get in the Wet Nurse fight. So that's a pretty cool combo that the boss has. In the Root Isle Chalice dungeons, you can have this kind of altar thing in the middle of the arena, but this top portion can be removed, and you will see like a symbol of a kind of bloody hunter's mark in the middle of the altar. And I do have that showed off on my video about like the hunter's mark and the the hunter mark and the source of the old blood and hanged men, but I didn't like really point it out. I just have it and I don't like draw too much attention to it, I suppose. The music's different in this version? Oh, you're right. Yeah, this isn't the Vile Blood Queen. That's interesting. Thanks for pointing that out. 10 Infinite Maxima, welcome in. The Sky and the Cosmos are one. It doesn't play the theme from Martyr Ligarius. What's my favorite Chalice dungeon? Probably Eyes. Great Eyes. Just because like all the tomb mold and it creates like the cosmic effect. And I guess I should have talked about that when we went through it. I guess there's time. We'll have a lot of time to kill on this stream. Alright, so this is kind of like the first phase. She doesn't have too many attacks. You can see her hands are bound, so she's a little bit limited in what she can do. One of my favorite strats for kind of messing with her is to use the Beast Roar. Just like it worked in the place up top, you can do it here. Ow. She got me as I was healing. So you can like stun her. One of the cooler things is when you hit her, she seems to have like 2 different types of blood coat her body. I don't know if she takes more damage when you like hit her in the child, but yeah. This version of Yharnam is pregnant, or at least Bear's child, I guess. And when we get into her later phases, she'll summon some clones, and they do not have the same baby bump. Oh, I'm gonna die. No, okay. Can't go wrong with Ludwig. Murgo's cry is really noticeable now. Yeah, and so even like in this version of the game, like the sound balancing was different. So Murgo is much louder than normal. She's kind of resistant, or I just missed a bit. So she'll break her shackles. You can like parry her, which is kind of funny. Oh, that's not good. So she can melt away into blood, recoagulate elsewhere with her clones. So that's the real one. She's obviously covered in blood. Oh. Don't really remember that dash attack. So these ones are fakes. I mean, they still are covered in blood, but this one isn't pregnant, and she doesn't have the same blood from the actual fight right now. And they can shoot projectiles. So the way that I typically deal with them is I just shoot them and then like focus on the queen. You wish we had that big 2-handed blood sword? Yeah. Actually, I should like try to double check to see if the clones have the ring. I mean, I would expect that they would, but it's kind of funny when that happens. Let's just shoot this one. And then try to look at the other one. Okay, so that one's fake. I guess I'm starting to get low on bios because I'm screwing around. Chill. Just trying to look at your fingers. Okay, yeah, I think I saw it. Maybe it's easier this way. Maybe not. Yeah, okay, I'm pretty confident. I saw it there. Yes, okay. Perfect. By perfect, I mean, like, manageable. Oh. Not trying to be that. So sometimes they do glitch out a little bit and teleport, or like they fade away a little bit delayed. Do you think guns using blood in this universe is due to Dumerians, as in gun technology was taken from Dumerians and was derived from the general use of blood? I don't think so, if for no other reason than the way that the city of Yharnam is characterized as kind of being like a backwater location that's not on most people's radar. I feel like if they had invented firearms, that it would have been a bigger deal culturally for the city. But that being said, it is also a bit curious that some Tunarians do carry the firearms, like you were pointing out, but the majority don't. And there is kind of like that intermingling between like the Canehurst Knight style enemies versus like the smaller ones that like dig through the walls or like carry the pistols, I guess. Guess I could like rally some of that HP back. Oh, that one I should run in on. Oh, that's my opportunity right there, wasted. Hey! We did it. It's a pretty terrible thing. Oh, that was the attack! Oh, okay, I ruined it. Now, let's try to show off some more of the big old queen's attacks. Oh, I guess I put her HP a little bit low. Makes sense. Oh, she has poise. That's it, that's it. Nope, okay, that's not it. Does she, like, rub her baby before she does the big one? Here we go. The camera doesn't move. Oh, and the sound effects are broken. And we missed. Grabbed her right in the baby, essentially. Ow. Okay, that didn't work. That's fine. I also do like her like little dagger. I think it would have been cool to get that as a kind of hunter weapon as well. So she's super bloody. So that's obviously the queen. This is phase 3. Down's fake. I wonder if they get more attacks in this phase. That seemed likely. So she gets like the blood blade, which is super cool. Kind of like Maria, but no fire, unfortunately. Oh, that stunned it? Okay, that's cool. Get him, Murgo. Ow. I'm gonna get got. I should have just spam dodge, I guess? That's kind of funny. Alright. This creep's looking at me with a monocular as I'm trying to kill him, that jerk. Gabriella, welcome back. The Dumerians don't strike you as a very technological race. If anything, all of what is related to them look older than Yharnam. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel as well. And it is like worth pointing out, even the firearms used in Yharnam aren't like super advanced, with the exception of like the random stuff that the powder kegs use, with like the Gatling gun. So like blunderbusses, it's probably just like fire powder and a bunch of crap rammed down a barrel to make it work. especially with like Quicksilver and everything. It doesn't really reek of high quality craftsmanship. Derek's thing with the Dumerians is they can arguably access powers greater than guns, so firearms might just be less important to them. The whole thing is just speculation, of course. No, I agree with you, and I think it is telling that the lower caste of the Dumerians use the firearms and whatnot, and it seems to be more like the bigger ones, the ones who've probably had more blood, which use more arcane style attacks. So like Dumerian descendants use like more melee stuff, and they can like teleport a little bit. The elders use way more magic and stuff like that, but aside from those ones, even like with the runts, some will use like, I don't want to say like fire paper, but you know, their weapons will be coated with that stuff. I should have done this first. Okay, so it looks like the gun can interrupt that, but not the other thing so much. Unfortunately, we can't just buff up with the what's it called? Bone Marrow Ash. Where's our queen now? I done won it. We saved the baby, guys. Kind of sucks we don't get her as a root chalice boss. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, it makes sense, but yeah, it's a little disappointing. But yeah, I mean, even though I do say like her fight is a little bit underwhelming, it is still kind of easy to die to her. Obviously, like I just cheesed the crap out of it, but there is enough to keep you on your toes. I don't know what else they could have done. I think she almost had like more health in this version, although I could just be completely wrong. I don't think I saw it documented, so I probably am. But it just felt like she was tankier than like Amygdala and whatnot, so yeah. Thanks for the GGs. You've always wondered if a friendly Temerian ever would have existed and what that would look like. So I think Gabriella's talking about like the pilgrims as well. There's that hermit that we can find in the chalices isn't aggressive. Annalise is fairly friendly. Thanks for the nice fight and good battle. Alright. So this is like the big lore item in the game. I think it's at the very top. Okay. Sacred Heirloom of Yharnam, Dumerian Queen. A sacred heirloom left by Yharnam, Dumerian Queen. The queen lies dead, but her horrific consciousness is only asleep and stirs in unsettling motions. So, the general appearance of the Yharnam stone is kind of interesting. It looks like a cross between like a squid baby, perhaps, and whatnot. So some people wonder if the... Yeah, I don't really like when I try to like point out what's what on the item itself. But so it looks like there could be a hand in the middle and maybe like a mouth, a triangular shaped mouth veering off towards the left, and like two potential like eyes on like the head portion. One of the things that I've wondered about this Yharnam stone is if it's supposed to be kind of reminiscent of one of the concept arts for the Moon Presence. I don't know if I have this hosted anywhere. Let me try to look real quick. I don't think I do, but I'd almost be surprised if I didn't. Well, I guess I could just pull up the concept art of the Moon Presence as well. Okay, yeah, that's what I'll do. Let's zoom this out a little bit on my end first. Okay. Oh yeah, I actually need to pull up the tab, don't I? Here we go. I guess I also should have like looked up how to resize this crap. Or like crop the image at the same time that I'm doing this. But yeah, okay, whatever. Oops. Looks like I don't know what I'm doing. Looks like, I mean, I really don't know what I'm doing. Let's be fair here. Keep grabbing the wrong thing. 1 second. So yeah, I do wonder if that's supposed to be kind of like a resemblance between the two. Just, like the bottom portion of the Yharnam stone might be kind of similar to how like the Moon Presence has wings. The Moon Presence has got like this placenta formed out of blood echoes most likely. And so like the Yharnam stone is a child of blood. So maybe that's placenta. Yeah. Let's go back to the stream. Yeah, so I'm sure I missed a lot of quotes about that. Did the Dumerians get wiped out or die out? So if we look at the things like the red jellies, I think the most likely explanation would be that they failed to keep reproducing, so that'd be ritual material. They probably were unable to keep reproducing naturally if they kept getting greater and greater due to their involvement with blood. Because Miyazaki does talk about this in his Drained of Blood interview, that like in his mind, like the more advanced a being or like a civilization becomes, like the more their birth rate declines. That idea came readily to him. So I think that's kind of what would be the most likely catalyst to the downfall of the Dumerians. But I mean, by the same token, if they do produce a child of blood, which is a like legitimate great one, it's kind of questionable like what the Yharnam stone's really meant to represent. They did kind of achieve a form of apotheosis, because the Yharnam stone is essentially like a god by all means considered, because even though it is even though like the queen lies dead, her horrific consciousness exists in sleep. And, you know, sleep is also like a metaphor for death, but like based on some of the literature by H.P. Lovecraft, like sleep is more like a speed bump for super powerful cosmic beings that exist beyond our understanding. So that could have been like paralleled in what they're doing with the Yharnam stone. My general idea is the nightmares and all that kind of thing exists as a kind of like collective unconscious, where like the spirits of the dead and those yet to be born all probably exist in some like primordial form. And if we think of like sleep as a middle ground between life and death, because you're not exactly unconscious if you have dreams, but you're also not awake either, and it just kind of exists in like a realm between dimensions essentially. So that's kind of one of the thoughts that I have. That's a dead kid. Phobos wishes there was anyone in Yharnam who'd tell you what's going on. Looking into Alfred's insanity, observing Caners, in your opinion, the Dumerians were not bad people at all? I mean, they were hunting hunters, and if hunters were like killing beasts, it's totally understandable why the Healing Church wanted them to get got. I should probably drink. Thank you, Nightbot. The Blood Ladies are Dumerian? Yes. So the sinister chalices do describe them as Dumerian madwomen. Joseph asks, Yharnam stone is similar to queenly flesh? I think so. To a certain degree, but it's probably on a higher level, I guess. When the strange eons, even death may die. So basically, Willem went to evolution by looking for eyes. Maybe. But the evolution only referred to making a life form more complex, which makes their offspring less likely. So there is the core description which we ate that talks about Willem wanted to kind of remain human and achieve ascension, which is kind of like having your cake and eating it too, it seems, in these games. So he still wanted to remain human, and there is that note in the lecture hall which does have a fairly big discrepancy in the Japanese text where it's like, it could just be wretched evolution, or the wretched evolution could be the downfall of our race. So, yeah. Did he oppose beasthood, or nah? It's a little hard to say. Is there anything else worth buying right now? Probably not. So yeah, the Yharnam stone doesn't really do anything for us, mechanically speaking. It unlocks a trophy for beating Yharnam, the Dumerian queen. But I really do like the idea of the fight and some of her attacks, just because they're so unique and show a lot more. So in some ways, I think the DLC is a little bit of a shame because it trivializes the Yharnam fight even more. And I part of the reason why I say that is like Maria uses blood in her, or fire in her blood, whereas Yharnam just uses like straight up blood. So it almost seems like Maria would have like stronger blood because he uses fire and Yharnam doesn't. I don't necessarily think that's true. It's just an observation. Gabriella saw a video about a woman that had a miscarriage and somehow came back home with her stillborn child. She wrapped it and placed it in her freezer. I think I know what you're talking about. The image of that frozen stillborn child looked a lot like the Yharnam stone. Yeah. So Google at your own risk, but you can look up ectopic pregnancies or lithopedions, and they're essentially like stillborn babies, and it's because of what's called... What is it called? An foreign body rejection syndrome? Something along those lines. So the mother's body rejects the child because it doesn't... The body doesn't recognize the child as like having the same biology as the mother. So I don't remember if it's all just like linked to blood types or whatnot, but that's also kind of relevant and worth considering, like why the Yharnam stone is this kind of ectopic pregnancy. So if children of blood are great ones, they're technically beyond humanity, so it'd make perfect sense why the mothers couldn't give birth to the children, because the body would probably recognize the great one as an I don't want to say like an alien, but it's alien to the mother. It's foreign to the mother. That's the better word. So that's kind of an interesting concept to think about in terms of like the pseudo-scientific mechanics of like why great ones could lose their children. And I do think that ties into the umbilical cord descriptions. Like every great one loses its child. Is Yharnam a great one? If so, that could tie into why we get the Yharnam stone. Like, is there like a certain break-off point where like once you hit a status point and become a great one, you can't have children? That might apply to Yharnam. We don't really know though. It's just a bragging rights reward, yeah. And so Lance McDonald did show off. Maybe he didn't show it off, but I know it exists. That at one point in development for the DLC, they thought about being able to give the Yharnam stone to the fishing hamlet priest and getting rewarded for it. So potentially, in one version of the DLC lore, the Yharnam stone was the child of Kos, or a child of Kos. So I don't know if that's more of a metaphor or how serious they were, and it's just very troubling to think about and even bothering to entertain. So I pretty much just take it as like even the developers don't have the lore set in stone until after the fact, and it's really more or less the community's job to come up with the lore in many instances, despite me saying like, oh, I do think we have concrete answers that are worth exploring. What's my favorite ending in the game? That's a good question. I don't really think I have a favorite, to be honest. I do like Yharnam's Sunrise, and I like the childhood's beginning, but I don't know. Gabriella says, Maria is a vile blood that turned out as a hunter. Vile bloods use blood and magic. Hunters use fire. think she's just an amalgamation of both worlds. Maybe, but I think it's also worth considering like the Dumerian elders very visibly use the fire in their attacks, as well as the Lauren clerics and whatnot. Elson, welcome to the stream. Saw someone catch me live? Thank you. Stella says, human bodies kind of hate pregnancy as is. An alien would be an immune system freak out. Yeah. And, I don't know. I really just like a lot of the themes that the game presents because, like, they're plausible enough to, like, make you think there's multiple ways to describe things, and they could all potentially be right. But in some ways, I also think that's kind of maddening. Hence, like, the channel, and being like, I think this is the lore, guys. I don't think you do have it right, so... Oh, yeah. So coming into, like, this little garden area that was walled off earlier in the game, we can see how many frickin' tombstones there are. So if the doll was saying, like, each grave here stands in the, like, memory of a hunter, we probably, like, literally have hundreds of hunters just in this section of the graveyard alone. So, whether or not that's taking place over hundreds of months or days is hard to say, but since Adela says, like, is tonight the night of the hunt, it does lead me to believe it's not, like, literally every night, so the situation in Yharnam could have taken place over many years, which shouldn't come as too much of a surprise, and as I mentioned before on the streams, the password gatekeeper had content lines where it's like, it's been over centuries since anybody's visited Bergenworth. But it totally makes sense that they would cut that out because, like, when we go to Bergenworth, we still find Yuri. The Forbidden Woods has a bunch of people, and the gatekeeper was trying to keep people out. It just doesn't make a ton of sense. But granted, I mean, we open the door and it says already dead, so it doesn't make a ton of sense either way. So yeah. I think the flowers here also have a few less petals than in other locations in the dream. So these ones have 5, and in the main area they have like 7. So as far as I know, there isn't a real life equivalent to these flowers, or rather, like the real version of these hasn't been discovered as far as I know. So there's kind of multiple candidates that people think they are, but considering like the number of petals change, I don't think truly meant to be like a specific flower, unfortunately. So we get the white moon in the background. So as I said, like the stuff with the Nightmare of Mensis, it has the white moon, and if the moon presence is being beckoned towards it, it doesn't make a ton of sense. I mean, we still have the white moon here, and it doesn't make a ton of sense, but it is much higher than in the Nightmare of Mensis. And with all that being said, we can see that the moon is in front of the clouds, so it's a bit suspicious. And we do get like traces of the red, which most likely represents the moon presence in the skies, because that goes away in like the second and third endings of the game. So I think the red there is supposed to represent the moon presence somewhat, and it probably just clouds the moon later on. Alright. Given each hunter had a night, you'd say the system in place isn't working all that well to end things? Yeah. Any thoughts on the cut upper cathedral moon presence fight? So, as far as I understand it, I asked Lance if there really was assets for a moon presence up there, and he said he hasn't found anything. So, I think it's questionable, but I don't remember if I showed off those statues in the Lumen Flower Garden. Yeah, let's go over there first, before we talk to Gamerman. Because I see chat's moving a bit as well. So, may as well oblige. Philippi says, sunrise is great because you can leave forever and have a fun story to tell your friends when you get home. Elson says, can you ask a question? Bear in mind you just started the playthrough for your second time ever, so you're watching the lore video and you want to ask, why are you required to silence the cries of the infant if the moon presence needs them? So I don't necessarily think the moon presence needs them, per se. There could be multiple motivations for the moon presence wanting the cries of the infant. In the umbilical cord descriptions, it does say, like, every Great One yearns for a child and all that. So Great Ones in general could just be drawn towards infants. And that's kind of the big reason why Murgo's cries are a problem for Yharnam. because the moon presence is such a huge force of nature, supernature, the supernatural, that it can like literally bend the rules of reality by its proximity alone. So this is just kind of a thought experiment or just a random idea that I like. With the moon presence, essentially being associated with the moon, I wondered if there's like a cosmic tidal effect where like the moon presence has so many blood echoes, it has such a great will that when it comes close to a section of the waking world, it kind of causes the blood echoes and whatnot to get agitated or like drawn towards the moon presence, and that's kind of where you get the idea of like draining things from. But that's just, there's really absolutely nothing to substantiate that. I just think it's a cool idea. So at the very least, if the Great Ones want children, they can be attracted to the cries of infants. If the moon presence is just like a gigantic cosmic parasite and wants blood echoes, I'm certain that a Great One infant would have a crap ton of blood echoes and would essentially be defenseless. So maybe there's a kind of a vying for control over Great One infants. Like, we do have Murgo's wet nurse guarding the infant or cradling it. It does slurp it up. I don't necessarily think like the wet nurse is trying to like eat it, but yeah, at the very least it doesn't want others to have it. And that could just be because like maternal instincts, and I don't think they'd call it a wet nurse if that wasn't important to its characterization. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question. Wasn't there a prompt? I think I don't know what you're talking about, Bobos. Are you going to show the gray sky and the blood moon once you kill Gehrman and start the moon presence fight? A little bit. Christoph, welcome in. Joseph says, you've been thinking of the moon presence as a mindless black hole, embodiment of entropy, maybe even the concept of the Big Bang crunch cycle. The arcane of the blood boils and sprouts up from the blood like the lumen wood and oozing quicksilver. So those are some of the ideas that I've had. So, with a lot of From Software using the similar themes throughout their games, it is questionable whether the moon presence is supposed to be analogous to the old one in Demon Souls. It doesn't have to be, but if you're kind of fond of that reading of things, like, I think comparing the two can probably strengthen that argument. So yeah. This is most likely a representation of the moon presence. I think it kind of also resembles that concept art that I fairly well failed to show off a moment ago. Let me pull that back up just to show them. So let's try to make this bigger. When we look at the moon presence, it kind of looks like that, but not really. This could just be like an artist representation. It's kind of interesting that it's in the Lumen Flower Garden no matter what. This statue doesn't exist in the Research Hall version, which is kind of interesting, so I don't really know what to make of that, to be honest. So the portion that I find the most interesting is as we look down, you can see that like the moon presence is like covered with skulls, and I think that kind of matches up with how on the concept art here. Oh yeah, I guess I need to actually show the gameplay next to it. Here I am like, oh, look at this. Yeah. So that's the head. That's the head. Artistic freedom. Scroll down. We got all these skulls here. And then when we look at these things crawling over the moon presence, they look like mini messengers. I can't really make that too much bigger. Wait, let's do it this way. Alright, so yeah, you can see like little tiny messengers crawling over the moon presence in its concept art. And so I wonder if that's supposed to be similar as to this kind of statue thing that we get going on. There we go. Put that away. Try to fit this back in. Damn it. So hopefully that's good enough. Why is her head always sideways? Or maybe that's just how it is. That's a good question. I don't know. It is worth considering like how the Lauren Silver Beasts also have like sideways heads. Parl doesn't. Headless Bloodletting, or just, you know, the Bloodletting Beast doesn't, but maybe it's just endemic to some things. Like the Moon Presence does also kind of have like that chest cavity that you can, well, I guess it's a little bit different than like the Amygdala or the Lauren Silver Beasts. So I wanted to show that off, and one thing, actually I don't know if the statues are over here. Let's take a quick detour. Remember like the skulls on the Moon Presence statue? I kind of want that to be fresh in people's minds. Oh, it lived. I don't think any of those statues that I'm thinking of are over here, but I do know for a fact that they're all over in the Chalice dungeons. So yeah, okay, I don't think they are. They're the ones that have like lanterns and whatnot. I don't think there's too many lanterns here. Alright, so we'll go back, and then I'll go back to Tumor Isle real quick. I could also show them off in like Central Yharnam, but whatever. The head and the tentacles look like the old room from Demon Souls, but that's about it. Like where you are right now, are you dreaming? What is dream and what is reality, you're trying to say? She kind of looks like a flower too. So she is potentially called the Flora, so she does have some ties to like plants and stuff. This is eyes. Lower. Oh yeah, we probably did it in the final one, just for... So I feel like it's kind of left up to player interpretation to say like whether the events of Yharnam are a dream or not. I personally like to think that it's reality, like the waking world, because otherwise I feel like it kind of diminishes some of the impact of the game and the elements of cosmic horror that it's trying to portray. But even if it is a dream, I would compare it to like an older movie called A Nightmare on Elm Street, where the events in nightmares can actually have like a real effect on people. So even though they're nightmares and dreams, like they have real consequences. That's more or less how I look at Bloodborne. It's really sad that it doesn't seem so many people nowadays are familiar with that movie. So forgive me for being a little bit of a boomer about that. So it should be down here. Okay. Do I not have this on? It's weird. Did I die? I guess, yeah, I did die against Yharnam showing stuff off. So, yeah. We get the statues of the women, most likely, covering their faces. And then they're, like, got, like, the children crawling up them. So I've wondered if this is supposed to be, like, symbolically connected to the Moon Presence or to something with, like, the Dumerians. I mean, it doesn't really make too much sense if the Moon Presence only came into existence in the time of Gehrman and whatnot, but maybe the Moon Presence has persisted for a long time. I wondered if the Moon Presence is supposed to have had more of a connection between Queen Yharnam, because, like, if the Moon Presence is being beckoned towards the crying sound of Murgo's voice, like, and Yharnam appears there, like, maybe Yharnam was, like, the Moon Presence's more human form, before it became like a true monstrous great one. Obviously, I really, really do not think that's true, but it's just some of the random ideas that I've had. Alright, let me get some water again and catch up with you guys. Akurm, yeah, so we've pretty much killed everything possible. And also welcome back to the stream. And so, yeah, the Moon Presence statues and the Lumen Flower Gardens do resemble what we see in the Nightmare Frontier. So let's go ahead and show those off, because it's kind of fun, especially since we're about to, like, fight the boss and compare everything. Silver Beasts are also the only ones the vermin. Maybe the vermin come from the Moon Presence. Maybe. SNX said, you thought it might be sideways head occurs due to the eyes on the inside changing the function of the brain, but the beast, that wouldn't work. Apart from the name Flora, how do we know that the Moon Presence is female? Because Flora is a super feminine name. That's pretty much it. Aside from that, like, in super early drafts of the game, the Moon Presence existed as a human and was an apprentice of Gehrman, named Flora, and an associate of Lawrence. So that kind of essentially is the role of modern Maria. Oh yeah, we're gonna go to the thing. So there's a few reasons to like make those connections. Oh, the thing's already up. Okay. So as we like look at the elevator, we got some Moon Presence-esque imagery going on, which is also interesting. And same thing with like the little platform. Isn't HUD tilting some dogs linked to deafness? I don't know. At least Gabriella knows A Nightmare on Elm Street. Probably unrelated, but do I think it's possible for dream/nightmare realms to be not prisons, like a place to escape to? Yeah. As I was saying before, like I the way that I look at them is more like a collective unconsciousness. So if people are familiar with games like Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy X, I think it's similar to the concept of like the life stream or the far plane. And they can be shaped by like the people inside them and their memories. So that's kind of similar to the statue we just saw in like the Lumenwood Garden, or Lumen Flower Garden, excuse me. Then we got some like chained up versions of these. And they're kind of fun to show off. And just another connection between the amygdala and like celestial larvae and like the umbilical cords is we got like the umbilical cord looking like things beneath like some amygdala statues at the top of the tower, and that's where the amygdala first came down from. So maybe these like little squiggly boys are like part of the metamorphosis in becoming an amygdala? I don't really know. It's a very, very strange location, everything considered. And going back to like the whole Forbidden Woods thing, like if these are supposed to be the graves of great ones, like that's kind of a mind-boggling to imagine how they are connected to the dream and who like created them and whatnot. I dare not list how many years ago A Nightmare on Elm Street came out, Phobos. Asenex says, one thing you've always wondered, though, is about all the mirrors we find in Yargul. With Minkalash showing us mirrors can be used for transit, why are they covered? That's a good question, and I don't really think there's an answer for it. Elson, you're waiting so long yesterday to catch me, and you missed me by an hour. Really happy to catch you. Alright, thank you. Hope you enjoy yourself. And Minmax has a good idea, so covering the mirrors could prevent others from using them. I like that. Karen's been slacking on the stream, you've been waiting forever? Well, you're here now, that's what matters. Or to keep things out. Reverse, welcome in. How do you think the hunters use tombstones in the dream? How are they linked to the lanterns? So that's a really good question. When we look at items like the Old Hunter Bone, I guess I don't really need to walk to the things, but why not? When we look at items like the Old Hunter Bone, it says, it is most appropriate that hunters, carriers of the torch who are sustained by the dream, would tease an old art from his remains. So we can use graves and the remains of people and things like that to form a kind of connection to gain skills or travel between places. And not even like remains, like we can use potentially live things with like the Augur of Bright to summon part of a great one. So it seems like we can kind of form a weird cosmic or psychic connection between the living and the dead and the supernatural, I guess. Oh yeah, we did have one of them I kept. Okay, too late now. Welcome back in, Ronnie Sanders. You ever think someone in Tumor or Yharnam ever looked at all those stashes and went, guys, this is kind of creepy, why don't we just stop? Only all the time. check the walls. The same magma-like formation shows up in the Hunter's Nightmare. Yes. Also, like the same tombs will show up there. So like the ones that are like broken over and they have blood. And yeah, it's a little bit of a shame we can't show off the DLC in this version of the game. Ronnie says, "Can you friend request my PSN?" You can. It's probably easier to just contact me on the Discord after the fact. Although I really don't play a whole lot of multiplayer games. QP Siren says, "Just noticed that the moon present stuff looks like the mask of the father/mother from DS1. Yeah, that's a funny comparison." Gabriella says, "By Maria's room, on the table by the side of her chair, it has a portrait frame, and the Hunter's Dream is missing one portrait frame by the fireplace. You don't remember if the Hunter's Workshop is missing the portrait frame or not." I know what you're talking about. JSF or like Sophie Pilbeam actually looked at the inner files and showed off like looks like it was like potentially Maria, Gehrman, and Lawrence. And I think it's on Meph's wiki, like a super zoomed up version of that you can look at as well. Time for the final fights, pretty much. There's not too much else we can do with the base game, especially after having gone through all of the chalices. Literally all of them, because we can't even do the root ones. Oh yeah, let's check out the Insight shop. I'm pretty sure we got every set, but may as well do it now. More than ever. Okay, that's what I thought. Maria remembering her BFFs. Sekiro is related to Bloodborne? Thematically in some ways. We're all in the snake, I guess. I don't know. Alright, so coming back into this garden area, we've got the Great Tree. I've wondered if like the big tree behind the altar in the Grand Cathedral is supposed to represent this thing. It's kind of hard to say. I pointed this out in one of the videos. We got like a bunch of the crucifixes, and that's where like they put hanged men. In Yharnam, we see like a bunch of beast patients put on them, and they're kind of a thing here. And they'll like break during the fight because Gehrman's a badass. Is there an explanation for how hunters can cross worlds? Not so much, other than like it's just something that they can do. They use the resonance of bells to cross dimensions. Its ring resonates across worlds, and the first hunter used it as a special signal to call hunters from other worlds to cross the gap and cooperate. So that's pretty much it. I think the old Hunter Bell talks about it a bit more. But one of the things that I do like about it is we get like that kind of black nightmarish mist forming at the bottom of the bell. And yeah, Gabriella makes a good point. The big tree is also an analogy to the Yggdrasil, the tree of life that connects all the planes of existence and the lifeblood of the universe. And that could be extremely important in terms of future FromSoft games, which I'm sure we can only imagine. So talking to Gehrman, he says a few different things. I don't remember if he says... I think it's... I think it's the ending where you wake up that he says fear the blood before he kills you. Which I find really interesting, just because it's not like fear the old blood, it's fear the blood, like fear the blood. So, to me, it just shows like a kind of evolution and misunderstanding of like the adage over time. Because Gehrman says fear the blood, Willem says fear the old blood, which could potentially just be more like you should already fear the blood in Japanese, but that's neither here nor there. And then the whole fear thing just kind of getting more and more convoluted as time goes on with like Amelia and whatnot. So here we go. Was there anything else that I wanted to mention? I think that's it. How's this dude gonna fight us with a spear in his chest? That's funny.
Good hunter, you've done well. The night is near its end. Now, I will show you mercy. you will die, forget the dream, and awake under the morning sun. You will be freed from this terrible hunter's dream.
Oh yeah, that's kind of fun to point out. So he says you'll be freed from this terrible hunter's dream. In the Japanese, that uses the exact same language. I hit circle because I thought that'd like back out, but apparently that just cancels it.
Oh dear. What was it? The
I was wondering if his hat was a different color, like if the texture is different. I was also going to look at him more. Yes, I've eaten the cords.
It doesn't matter. It always comes down to the hunter's helper to clean up after these sorts of messes.
The model is completely different. I was wondering if part of it was the lighting, because it looked super bright with the moon. Obviously, 720p doesn't look as sharp to you guys, unfortunately.
Gammon joins the hunt.
Hey, Gammons and Smash. So yeah, the models change. Oh, his hat is completely different. It's like a top hat. As soon as he switches. I don't think it's like that in the final game. It was kind of funny. Stop hitting me, Garen. Oh, he has poise. I'm surprised that didn't kill me. Yeah. So I think I just got really distracted by all of that. Too slow. The Gamerman fight's super cool though. Man, just the L2 so slow. Should also turn the HUD on just to see how much damage we're doing. We're getting done. Monaco only run with the rifle spear? It's possible. Because there's such a delay on actually using the L2, it's kind of hard to time and react to his movement. Gammon's design has similarities to the Charred Hunter set? Yes. So, in this phase of the fight, he can shoot the big bullet at us. When he does this, the moon shines super bright. It endows him with light. He turns into a Super Saiyan, essentially. A Super Hunter. And he can also use his weapon to automatically, like, put us in the parried state. And he can visceral us as well. Oh, that was it. Get super speed, all this stuff. So let's go ahead and turn this off. They have him, like, visceral us. I guess I should have kept running forward.
You must accept your death.
So that's cool. You know, in a lot of ways, Astyanax sees him as a better Gwyn. Unlike the Lord of the Sunlight, his sacrifice was truly selfless. Yeah. Gabriella feels sorry for him and Lawrence. Bloodborne's one of the few games that actually makes you emotional. Old Hatter must have gone mad from the quicksilver brim of that hat cat. You love how the game prepares you for the fight? Feels like Gascoigne on crack. Welcome in, Mortis. Gammon kill you? I lost the run. So yeah, my first time playing through the game, I went through all of the Chalice materials first. Or all the Chalice dungeons. And I was, for whatever reason, like I knew there's like a secret boss. And just because of like how brutal FromSoft games were in my head at the time, I was like, okay, you've got to kill them all in the one run, otherwise you're going to miss out on like the secret ending. So I was like going crazy trying to kill both Gehrman and the moon presence on my first run. So I did manage to kill Gehrman on the first run because I was like over leveled. And then when like the moon presence came down, like I didn't know its moveset or anything, so it was like really nerve wracking, especially with like the drain attack and like trying to heal through it. And I did manage to kill both of them on the first run, and I had 0 blood vials left. So I was just like on a complete boss high of unparalleled proportions. And so like I couldn't even focus on the cutscene that happened after, so I had to go back onto YouTube to see what it was. Just because I was like in a fog. So to me, it's a little bit unfortunate that like the DLC really trivializes these two fights. And part of me really thinks that for like the moon presence encounter, they should have made Gehrman mandatory each time. Like it would definitely suck, but at the very least, it'd make the moon presence feel less underwhelming, perhaps? I don't know. Should have sat down faster. That would have been super good footage. Because I'm recording this, because why not? I was trying to have him like visceral me. Gehrman's easy? I don't think he's easy. He has enough moves to keep people on their toes. Post-boss clarity? No, if anything, it was like post-boss occlusion. I don't know. Phobos is thinking if the old Hunter Bone was meant to be Flores, maybe she was meant to directly power him up here. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, because I guess I should point out, like, once he gets super powered by the moon, he does gain the art of quickening, which, you know, is kind of related to the old Hunter Bone. Somebody shows my boy Lauren some sympathy. They should have buffed Gehrman in the MP after the DLC dropped. So, like, if they gave you... I'm trying to think. Like, they could have essentially tied it to a key item from killing the Orphan of Kos. Or just, like, maybe, like, once you get the Nightmare Slain text appears, and if you kill the sprite, they could have, like, used that as an event trigger to give a larger pool of health to Gehrman and the Moon Presence. Something. They should have touched it for sure. If you kill Gehrman, you can at least do some stuff with the Burial Blade. Yeah. Any difference between PS4 and PS5 on the game? So the loading times are a lot faster, even though this is like the unpatched version of the disc. Like, it doesn't feel unbearable, although I might just be saying that because I'm streaming and have more to do between the load streams. But the biggest difference that I've noticed so far is... on this version of the game, Jura can't finish his death coat when he kills you, just because the game loads out too fast. Which is what happens on the retail version of the game, but at least on the base PS4, on the base version of this game, he has a longer quote that tells us to think about our actions and like the hunt and whatnot in the dream. So he doesn't do that properly on the PS5, but he does on the PS4. Do you think MP being so weak is proper, outside of the fact that we're hunters and he's something we are trained to kill? The fact that we took 3 chords brings us up to his level. I understand what you're saying with that, but the only like counter I'd really bring up is how the fight with Gehrman doesn't change any. Like, you'd think Gehrman would be made a bit more trivialized if we are like a true great one at that point. Not that I like disagree with what you say, but just food for thought. Mortis is out of the dirty jokes. Good. Try to parry him. Lawrence's music lyrics tattooed on your arm? That's pretty metal. The fog wall looks so much better than the stuff in Dark Souls. Well, this game was made later. I don't know about Dark Souls 3. I mean, I know Dark Souls 3 came later. I'm just saying, I don't remember how the fog wall looks in Dark Souls 3. I liked the, like, Project Beast trailers. We'd see, like, messengers in the fog. Or maybe it's like the early Bloodborne trailers, too. I need to get him over here. Oh, crap. Don't do it yet. Guiding to the left. It's better for the feng shui. We get behind you. Do it, do it, do it, do it. Oh, that's such good footage. Oh man. that's primo.
You must accept your death.
Alright, I'll turn the HUD back on and kill him this time around and point out that when he dies, we do not get any blood echoes in this ending, which is super interesting. Because if you do the second ending, you will get like the blood echoes from him. Gamer getting stronger after the orphan would be cool. I mean, it wouldn't make so much sense because, like, I mean, maybe, I don't know. Just because, like, he's dreaming and he has a bad dream, but yeah. Since it's Nightmare Fog, it's probably to show that the Hunter's Dream is really only called a dream to differentiate it from the Hunter's Nightmare, or it's just there so they don't have to put new code or something. DS3s are denser? Okay. And Seabird, welcome in. You're glad people still play this game? Me too. Today you learn Moon and Tsuki. How do you pronounce moon presence in Japanese? So Tsuki no Mamono. So Tsuki no Mamono. Elson says, when they talk about Gehrman and Maria, what type of affection are we talking here? As a lover, father, daughter, master, and student? I would say like teacher and student. But yeah, it gets weird because like the doll stuff, so yeah, maybe a bit more. So yeah, Maria respected Gehrman as like a mentor to a point, and then Gehrman might have wanted more as a dirty old man, I guess. So let's get our echoes. Old Hunter badge. We did not gain any more echoes. Gehrman's a dried out husk. Sad old blood-starved beast. When I stop playing around and just blast him, it's wonderful. So we get the moon presence. Interestingly enough, it does have... Did I rally somehow? That doesn't make sense. It does have phases, so in its first phase, it does like physical attacks. I don't know if it does its drain in its first phase, but once it transitions to the second, it does more arcane style attacks, more like supernatural magic-y type bullcrap. So when we look at the sky, there's no more red in the clouds as much. It's just like all black and gray. The moon is obviously covered with red, potentially to like represent like blood echoes and whatnot. I don't really know. Just blood in general. It's a blood moon. It looks like it's just essentially the same moon with a red filter over it. It's still in front of the clouds. The back of it's still kind of messed up on the left side there. So the moon presence is like the quintessential big bad. It's the secret boss, but it's a little bit underwhelming, which is truly, truly unfortunate. Partially just because like the AI for it isn't the best, and a lot of its attacks are extremely punishable. So like we can back off. Like if you roll into it and just wail on it and just use like rallying to its max potential, it really makes the fight a lot easier. So in some ways it's a cool feature to it, because like utilizing the rally mechanic really makes the hunter a hunter, and like that's the moon presence's weakness. So even though this is a great one, it snarls like a beast. It has similar attacks to like kind of like the Scourge Beast that we see throughout Yharnam. And so it really does call into question like the so-called knowledge of Great Ones and whatnot. Oh wow, that range. So there's a lot of cool stuff to show off with the moon presence though. Like it's got like a bunch of tendrils on its attack, on its like tails. And they do kind of resemble like the hunter's mark a little bit. It's kind of hard to show off though. So hopefully you guys can kind of see it a little bit easier than I can at times. But I don't think every little tendril is like that. Another thing is the moon presence kind of also resembles the blood dregs a little bit. And aside from that, some people have like theorized that the moon presence's face and whatnot could be like a cross section of an umbilical cord, because it doesn't have like eyes like you'd expect, but it does have a few openings which are also present in umbilical cords. And so when we do look at like the concept art of it and see like the white stuff surrounding it, like the blood echoes could kind of be its placenta, where it gets its nourishment from. And that can come into play in this fight as well. Like if you break its head, it will coat itself with like the nightmare mist to regenerate its limbs, and we'll kind of see that effect come on a little bit. So I'll try to do it without like killing it too much. Holy crap, we just chunked the ever-living crap out of it. Alright, so it broke its head, and it will regenerate later. It'll start doing its arcane attacks. Sorry. Oh, that's the arcane stuff. I really love these attacks. We get like Blood Echo style clouds turning into blood, and then black mist turns into actual blood, which if we get tagged by will prevent our ability to heal. Alright, so that was the thing that I was talking about. So it just regenerated its head right there. So now we can't heal. Oh, I got hit by it. We can't heal when we get hit by the blood, but I was at 1 HP, so I took a tiny bit of damage and got. Alright. So at least now I can actually read, and we do have the Old Hunter badge to look at too. So lots of good stuff. You always assumed Gehrman was younger when Maria died, maybe 10 or 15 years older than her. Maybe. It's definitely hard to say. At least with like the promotional footage for the old hunters, he's still old and like peg-legged when he goes into the hamlet, which is kind of funny. repelled from one another like matching poles of a magnet. Still 30 FPS on PS5? Yes. So that's kind of hardwired in, or hard-coded into the game. Lance McDonald has done some wonderful work like documenting how he created a 60 FPS patch for the game, and part of the work that he put into it was reconfiguring like the system clock, because it's tied to like the UI and other features, so we had to reconfigure some settings. But I mean, he's just one dude and did it on his free time. Like, surely Sony could hire somebody to do the same and like release a real patch, but because they have not, that leads people to believe that there's going to be like more Bloodborne content in the works, whether that's like a director's cut or just a rescaling and a remastering. We don't really know, but I personally don't necessarily believe in like director's cuts or anything, but who knows, we'll see one day. Mega Blair says she does kind of fight like a beast, pouncing and clawing. Let you see a few second phase move. Captini, welcome back in. Tails look kind of like plant vines to you, and yeah, that's another good comparison. So Gabriella says she places her hand in front of her face to cast the spell, like our hunter character does when using the hunter's mark. Oh yeah, that's another good observation that I tend to forget about. Yeah, since I guess we do have like our blood echo pile, but we won't use it, so I could show off the hunter's mark. But I wonder if the bold hunter's mark will keep our blood echoes on the ground. Maybe that's worth trying. So yeah, we do a kind of similar motion, which is really, I'm really glad you pointed that out, because I think I would have forgotten. Ryan's Wall, welcome in. Looks like a knife. Yeah, and Asenex brings up the point of like the potential of a PC port. That's another thing that a lot of fans want. Oh yeah, and let's repair after the Garamond fights, and then I'll read the old hunter thing. I guess I should have bought Garamond's equipment. Still can. Just not thinking about it. Alright. Let's check out our old hunter badge. This hunter's badge, crafted in Garamond's time, has no practical purpose, except perhaps to assist in romanticizing about the past. The badge was a special privilege for the hunters of the past, and should not be dishonored. It should be left in peace, unless one is truly prepared to assume the will of those gone before. So, I wish I remembered the description for the old hunter badge when I was, like, making my videos about, like, inheriting willpower and whatnot, and, like, the blood echoes. With that being said, though, I'm pretty confident that this doesn't actually use the same term as like the blood echoes. I might be misremembering though. I think I may have looked that up. So even though like I do regret like not putting that in a little bit, I don't, because it's kind of misleading to equate them. Oh wait, no, it is the same. Okay. So yeah. It should be left in peace unless one is truly prepared to assume the will of those gone before. So it's more like inheriting like the blood echoes of those gone before. So the idea of like assuming the will, inheriting the will, does come up in multiple places in English, but in the Japanese, like blood echoes are called the dying wills of blood. So there's a stronger connection to be made. Dan Stern says, this is an arcane build, right? Is Rifle Spear cool for arcane builds? You've never tried that before. So this is relying on a glitch that only exists in 1.00, where we can use the flat arcane gems to increase our Rifle Spear's damage. And you can't really even do it anymore, so yeah. This is kind of like a one and done bug. So unless you have like a save state editor or something, you can't really replicate it, unfortunately. So the reason for the way that it works is it applies all of the flat arcane damage to literally each bullet we fire. So it's kind of broken. So we do get the burial blade. Trick weapon wielded by Gehrman the First Hunter. A masterpiece that defined the entire array of weapons crafted at the workshop. Its blade is forged with siderite, said to have fallen from the heavens. Gehrman surely saw the hunt as a dirge of farewell, wishing only that his prey might rest in peace, never again to awaken to another harrowing nightmare. So I think that was fairly straightforward. Siderite is just like meteorites, essentially. It costs as much as I used for the Kin Cold Blood. And let's check out a set. So, okay, like 30,000. Okay, that's funny. Because he was like wearing a top hat in the fight, but this is what he was wearing beforehand. I'm gonna put that on just to compare how different they were. And I kind of want to like go back and double check the retail version of the game to see if they fixed him having like a top hat. Because I thought both versions of his hat looked a little bit wonky. I guess I'm a little bit short. I guess I'm also wearing the female clothes, so it might be a little bit different. So let's keep that in mind. The fight, it's like the top hat and the charred hunter cape, but underneath he has his normal outfit. He has the top hat in the retail version too. Okay, thank you. I still want to look, just because it looks strange to me. Maybe it looked strange after just looking at his hat. I know that's the rumpled one, but I'm just gonna compare. Yeah, so that one looks like what he's wearing, but like the opposite way, I think. Milady. Here. Are some weapons blade part covered with cloth? I don't really know. Oh, because they're like bandages. Maybe because it's to like keep the blood gems in? I don't know. Never thought about it. Or maybe to just soak the blood of its victims? To maybe just give it more grip? I don't know. We want a PC port solely for the mods? Yeah, I'd love like a free cam, if for no other reason than just like looking at things and the lore for it. Oh yeah, you think the badge looks like Gehrman's scythe? His gauntlets are also unique. The spoon presence. Siderite equals the Orphan of Kos weapon has a blade on it. Your opinion is that Gehrman got the Orphan's weapon and used to craft his burial blade and the Blades of Mercy. If anything, I would say like the Orphan would be based on Gehrman. And depending on how sincerely you want to take like the footage for the Old Hunters DLC promotional trailers, Gehrman is walking into the hamlet with the missing leg and the scythe already, so yeah. Burial weapons to honor the orphan and bury everything that has happened in the fishing hamlet, and mercy is what the old hunters should have shown the villagers and the orphan. Salmon says 2 weapons are said to have fallen from the heavens, the first hunter weapon and the hunter for hunters. Yes. QP Siren says it's like the old Gehrman compared to Gehrman's prime, like in his miner's youth. Elson said, you said the spider name which escapes you is a great one, but it doesn't drop anything significant but a regular blood thingy. You just said that the other great one blood thingy on my... and then you got cut off. So yes, Rom is described as a great one. So let's go ahead and pull that up real quick. And then we'll fight the moon presence again, and I'll definitely be free to answer like a bunch of questions after that. Where's Rom? Stupid spider. There we go. Defeat Great One, Rom the Vacuous Spider. Let's zoom in for all the haters. So yeah, she's definitely a great one. And So is our damn blueberries. Our Mouse. Defeat Great One, Celestial Emissary. Definitely doesn't feel very great. You saw the Great One Blood thingy in the inventory? What does it read in its description? So, I looked at that earlier in the stream. We got that in the Dumerian Isle Chalice dungeons. And it just says it comes from the blood of a Great One. And we find it on the corpse of a random Dumerian in the dungeons. Where did we get got? We got over here, didn't we? So maybe our thing went away because we did use the Gold 100 mark. I kind of thought that would or could happen, so I'm not too surprised. We need something that rhymes with America that comes from Bloodborne. Stare at you? I know that really doesn't rhyme, it's just kind of funny. Yeah, so I think like one of the bigger things about the Moon Presence is that its health pool is way too low. And I feel like the cooldown of its moveset is way too long after that move to make it like truly threatening. So, honestly though, aside from that, I think it has portions of it which could make it a really good boss fight, but it's just kind of brought down due to balancing issues rather than like a lot of its moveset. The other thing is it gets a little bit animation locked quite a bit. So it's kind of easy to just dodge into it and rally HP back and just deal damage, even though I'm completely failing that right now. Its arm. So when it regenerates its limbs, we'll see the Nightmare Mist cover its arm as well as its face. Oh, there's my blood echoes. Imagine it's hard to find a white puddle in a field filled with white flowers. Alright, so now I can't heal just to show that off. Oops. Damn it. I meant to pull out the binocular to show that off and get closer footage of it healing. I mean, I've got a decent amount of footage of the Moon Presence already. That's a funny bug. We must accept our death, guys. That's funny. When you're talking evolution of Bloodborne, are the Great Ones a completely different creature to humans? I think that depends on personal interpretation. With the player character able to become a Great One in the third ending, I'm inclined to not think that they're completely different, other than, you know, I don't know. Yeah. Accept death, we're hunters then? We're hunters here, we deal with the death. This beast is the very reflection of the darkness within us, a monumental amalgam to the triumph of our sins. Endlessly we will rise to be slain and be refined by our shortcomings of our virtues. I like it. And just speaking about the visual design of the Moon Presence, of course, while it does also resemble the old one of Demon Souls a little bit, it's got like the completely exposed ribs, and with its bestial snarling and stuff, I think it's supposed to be indicative of it being driven by kind of basic desires to consume. And like the exposed ribs could just be a sign of like emaciation, so it's hungry. And that kind of leads into its greed and whatnot. I should probably chill out a little bit, huh? Oh. Probably need to heal. Oh, I'm alive. Okay. Not that way. Well, Moon Presence didn't say anything this time. You think so too, because the Moon Presence has arms and legs? Derek said the first run you felt like you beat the Moon Presence too quickly, didn't die once. On the other hand, you had no idea what would happen if you lost, so you really wanted to win that one? Yeah, that's how I felt. I saw a few of its attacks, but not like a ton. It was only when I was like just trying to get a lot of footage for it that I noticed a lot of more of the arcane stuff. I guess it wasn't really footage at that point. It was more just like oops. It was more just like pictures of it. C Music says, you think the patheticness of the Moon Presence as a boss goes a long way towards creating a subversive picture of the Great Ones. And that's another thing, and that might have been intentional on the part of developers. Like, they're called Great Ones, but literally all of the ones that we fight are kind of underwhelming in their own way. So how great can they really be? I just like the timing of that. Chill out. Oh. I'm reticent to keep hitting it. Me as well. I need it to do its heal. Oh, that was the wrong gesture anyway. That was the wrong move. Oh, that's such good footage.
Are you cold? Oh, good hunter.
So we see like the little red going away from the moon at this point of the ending. So yeah, Gabriella points out that when the Moon Presence dies, her animation's like Marie and Gehrman's. Thanks for the GGs. You wonder what kind of great one we'll become. I like to think it's definitely up to player interpretation. So whether or not we want to be like altruistic and protect humanity, or just like under new management type deal. Bree, welcome back to the stream and thanks for the GG. It'd be cool if in Elden Ring, if there's an optional boss you can only get one chance to encounter and defeat. I feel that way as well, but it's also like very, very stressful, maybe unduly so. See Music says, maybe something like without their magic dream powers, they're just as susceptible to the beastly idiocy as man is. I think so. Who knew Dune had it right all along? Samar Beer, welcome in. You gotta kill all the demons and stuff. You're welcome, Astanex. So yeah, that pretty much concludes the main story of the Bloodborne Unpatched. We got to see some really cool differences in the item descriptions. We got to see some cool glitches, some intended on our part, some others not, like the Moon Presence speaking to us. So if you guys want to stick around, ask questions, I'll be more than obliged to answer, because we've got some extra time to kill. And maybe I'll just play a little bit of the new Game Plus with our boomstick, just to see how that works out a bit. Minmax says, if they only added a hunter tool that allows you to summon yourself and attack it in New Game Plus. Oh, if you became a great one in New Game Plus. Okay, I see what you mean. Samarbeer says, if they ever made BB2, we'll know for sure that's what's canon or how the various endings all fit into a Lovecraftian way. Maybe. I mean, they could just completely pull a 180 and go a completely different direction. So, it could just be like a completely different civilization. Maybe it's cyberpunk in the next time. Who knows? Joseph has too many questions, too many eyes in the head. Next gonna go to bed before your frenzy. It's understandable. Take care and chug some sedatives, I guess. But not really. Don't abuse drugs, kids. That's bad. You'll turn into a beast. Okay? So yeah, that was a lot more fun than I was expecting with the arcane rifle spear. Like, it was definitely broken on some bosses, but oddly balanced against others, like the watchdogs of the old lores. You want a FromSoft cowboy game? Ow. You find Murgo's lullaby comforting? I mean, that's not too surprising. It is supposed to be a lullaby. Murgo's lullaby is low-key fire. It definitely has that Dumerian theme going on with the fire then. I was unironically thinking of potentially like making a review, a video game review of Bloodborne, like not so much like a lore thing, just like, oh, this is what I actually think of the game. Gabriella says, you guess I missed it above. You said, don't forget that Miklesh said, cause or some say cosm, and the choir says, here we stand, feet planted in the earth. But might the cosmos be right above our heads? Very near, it's only just above our heads. Satellite fell from the heavens equals it fell from the cosmos. Cause or some say cosm. The fishing hamlet is directly on top of Yharnam. The fishing hamlet is on top of, like, Nightmare Yharnam. We don't really know if it's on top of, like, the actual Yharnam. But, that being said, I don't disagree with the whole, like, angle you're going with, especially with the choir and the cosmos being above their heads. So, your general thought is if a meteor comes from the heavens, it would probably pierce through the nightmares and then gain extra cosmic power, I guess? I think that could work. Minmax said, if you ever had a kid, you play Murgo's lullaby every night till it grows up to be the smartest being on the planet. QP says, do you think there's an overriding message or theme from one of the players to get from Bloodborne? I think the overall message from all of their games essentially is persevere in the face of hardship. Like, for real. We're just a lowly human, but through our perseverance and unwillingness to give up, we're able to face cosmic abominations and emerge victorious, so long as we choose not to give up. So that's kind of like the overall message that I get from all over the games. Maybe Demon Souls doesn't have it quite as overtly as like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, though. And I guess Sekiro is also a bit different, so yeah. Kerm says, whose great one kid does the hunter become? And if you are your own kid, doesn't that make you destined to die anyway? So that is a bit of a question, and with our transcendence into a great one, perhaps the method we use to do it causes us to become a more perfect one, since we allegedly get the insight from all of the brain, from the umbilical cords, the cord of the eye.
Good. All signed and sealed. Now, let's begin the transfusion. Oh, don't you worry. Whatever happens, you may think it all a mere bad dream.
Alright, so Mega Blair asks the hard-hitting questions. Kiss, marry, kill. So we're going to go with kiss the real Yosefka, because she's a sweetheart. Marry Ariana, because let's be real here, she'll have the money to keep the marriage intact. And then kill Annalise, probably because that's just the nice thing to do. We already sought Pale Blood to transcend the hunt. Alright. Elson says, is there any indication as to how the outside world of Bloodborne is? Like maybe where we come from before arriving to Yharnam? So that varies by player. There are like the little bit of origins that you can choose. So some people like to believe that the fishing hamlet can be the origin for the hunter, because one of the origin talks about like a hamlet, but they could be unrelated. It's kind of personal preference. Aside from that, the outside world, we find a very tiny amount about it through characters like Yamamura and Valter, and that's pretty much it. And aside from that, I guess like pretty much all of the other hunters are most likely foreigners, it seems. Maybe with the exception of like Lawrence and Gehrman, but we don't even really know where they came from. And you know, Lawrence wasn't a hunter, so you kind of misspoke there, I suppose. Alright, so we can still one-shot on New Game Plus, that's nice. Derek says, what we get in-game, which isn't much, the rest of the world doesn't seem to be so nice either. If we assume those places are outside Yharnam. It starts from the beginning, wherever we're forever trapped. So yeah, essentially, another fun reading could be that like we're the moon presence all along, and this is just a way to keep ourselves entertained forever, if we so choose. It's kind of a Krishna perspective of the game, I suppose. And that's just kind of me spitballing and poop posting in real life. Brador's set isn't different from our characters. His clothes are almost identical to ours. They are identical, except they're covered with blood. So the first time we go back to the Hunter's Dream, the doll should still be inactive. So we need to use like a bold Hunter's Mark in there, or just exit out and exit in and she'll be awake, because we have insight. Joseph says, do you think the brain of Mensis might be a Kagare Amygdala? The Amy's all press us to their heads, and maybe the School of Mensis bloated it with the corrupt scholar tribute. Is it a Kagare Amygdala? I don't know if I would say like a Kagare Amygdala, but I think it's definitely like a failed one. Eileen doesn't necessarily have to come from a land of foreigners. It just says like the hunters of hunters traditionally did. Or like that's where they originated from. We can show that off in a second here. Oh yeah, and I was going to show off a yellow bone. Because I hadn't. Because it's different from the retail version. Some, like a lot of the original materials are, but I just forget. Did we get the hunter rune? Okay, so let's look at the crow feather set. The first hunter of hunters came from a foreign land and gave the dead a virtuous native funeral ritual rather than impose a blasphemous Yharnam burial service upon them, with the hope that the former compatriots might be returned to the skies and find rest in a hunter's dream. So the Japanese about this also talked about like receiving the blood echoes and returning them to the hunter's dream, if I remember correctly. So that's kind of a shame that didn't get transferred over so much. But yeah. So Eileen is technically a mystery, but I think it's fair to assume that she's still a foreigner regardless. Oh yeah, and yellow backbone. Special material used in a holy chalice rite. Special body parts collected by the healing church. What was this gruesome bait used to lure? So that one's definitely different. Same with the inflicted organ. A body part of a saint sacrificed by the healing church in their search for truth. The labyrinth watchers are said to revel uncontrollably when they catch a waft of the scent of murdered saints. So those are a little bit different, but yeah. A stillborn infant infected by the scourge, a harbinger of curses and symbol of defilement. So let's actually finally read the Lauren chalices. So it's true, in this version of the game, both of them are called Lauren chalices. So that did confuse me, because I thought lower was the lower one, because, you know, it's lower. So yeah, this one should have been an ailing Lauren chalice. So we have lower, ailing Lauren root, lower. That's funny. Okay. There are trace remains of medical procedures in parts of ailing Lauren. Whether these were attempts to control the scourge of beasts or the cause of the outbreak is unknown. Wait, is that different? It doesn't say extrapolate Yharnam would be next. Let me look that up again. Interesting. Okay. So the retail version of this says, the tragedy that struck this ailing land of Lauren is said to have its roots in the scourge of the beast. Some have made the dreaded extrapolation that Yharnam may be next. So, yeah, that did change. That's kind of interesting. I didn't realize that. Is there any meaning to the Hunter of Hunters being the one that gives you the Hunter rune? It's kind of interesting. I don't really know. If the Hunters of Hunters were supposed to collect blood echoes and return them to the Hunter's dream, I think that could work out with like some of the ideas that I have. But it's just a little bit strange. Because even though we have this rune, it doesn't really fit too well into the other bits of lore. Like, this should essentially just be like a clearer version of the Bold Hunter's Mark, or even the Hunter's Mark. But it doesn't really have functionality that you may expect from that. It just gives you like a little bit of stamina recovery. And we can't even see what the effects are in this version of the game. They don't say. It's funny. So yeah, if you strike Garmin or shoot him, he'll disappear in white mist. So maybe he was just blood echoes and a mirage the entire time. Let's go ahead and bold. Lawrence, Lauren, Laura, yeah. It's not as bad as the A names. Oh, it just brings us back over here. That's interesting. Alright, I'll leave the doll for now. Let's go speedrun the Cleric Beast. Pebbles, definitely worth picking up. Why did I pick those up? Elson says, you have to say you're getting pissed at the fact the game leaves some things up to the player to assume/conclude. I understand the kind of frustrations as well. Like, I think it should be pretty apparent by the way that I interact with chat. I don't like to leave things uncovered or undiscovered. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you gotta do what makes you stay sane, I suppose. Oliver Schnurmer, welcome into the stream. Hello, you've always found that strange that there are multiple amygdalae. Shouldn't all great ones be unique to the point they can't reproduce? Maybe. I mean, since we have multiple ones, that would kind of throw a wrench in... Oh, that's weird. Into that reading there, but... some people have wondered whether or not the amygdalae have like a kind of hive mind going on. I like the idea, but with the amygdala and arm saying it belonged to a small one of them, it does seem like there just are multiple instances of them. They could have potentially originally been created by the Dumerians, because we do find them in the Chalice dungeons and whatnot, but other than that, yeah. Not a lot really works out super well, all things considered. Wow. I should have just rallied. Boss rush mode? A little bit. I guess I still like run into the habit of trying to open up all the shortcuts even if I don't tend to use them. Do a boss back to back? Okay. We could do like 2 or 3. Just want some, oh yeah, there's gonna be a ritual up top. I was gonna just try to get some more blood vials. Alright, now we're back up to max. That's what I wanted. So the fun thing about the Cleric Beast is it does have like the lock-on point for its head, so this should be pretty splat-tastic. It's a damn curse. Thank you, Nightbot. I was a banana. I am no more. Yeah, let's just leave the HUD on just for the heck of it. So, that like little red ore that it did, that was it regenerating its limbs. So they're definitely tankier in New Game Plus. Can't just spam completely. Oh. But we can get it with the old college try, as they say. It's got the grab. Oops. Oh no. Oh yeah, I screwed around a lot. So that's probably a bad idea. Boss is back to back. At least we have a lot of the emergency vials. So let's go with the no HUD, no dream gun only run. If you fight the suspicious beggar in this version, does it call him the Abhorrent Beast or the Worn Dark Beast? Neither. So when you fight the beggar, no matter what, like the HUD doesn't really pop up on top of him to have like a name. He's just treated like a common Yharnamite style enemy. Derek thinks it's best to leave some things unknown in the end. It gives us more to think about. We'll be able to pick up more bullets and stuff along the way. It's all good. You've enjoyed bringing Gascoigne? Oh, we can try that. Yeah, this is New Game Plus. Okay. Oh, wait, no, we can't. We just killed the Cleric Beast. Damn it. I done goofed. Get where you're coming from. Thanks for the GGs. There are certain things that you at least feel like they could have been given more life within the game, but not much we can do about it. Yeah.
Oh. A hunter, are you? And an outsider?
You request New Game Plus 2 to get Gascoigne with us.
And tonight of up here. Prepare yourself for the worst.
Oh, she's like dead.
You can't go on like this.
So yeah, as I pointed out before, like you don't get the Blades of Mercy or her the hunter, what's it called? You don't get the badge really from killing her. We just get the Bolt Hunter's marks, which is really a shame. So damn sad. Gonna go full psycho on this run. Like you say, it's different from any of the other ones that I've done. Let's be real here. Was that bullets on this one? I think it was. No, just a shard. Dang it. Pretty sure that was bullets. It was all a lie. Yeah, okay. This town's finished, pretty much. You don't get the stuff in New Game Plus, or is it a 1.0 thing? So even in the retail, I'm pretty confident you don't get everything from her. I think you might be able to get the badge. She might not have given it to us because we already have it in our inventory, but you definitely can't get the Hunter's Room. I think she originally just drops the Blades of Mercy. So this should be Madman's... It's a Bolt Hunter's Mark? I thought you got Madman's knowledges for the items you already had. So I guess they get replaced with Bolt Hunter's Marks. Going out wrecking an old woman like that? That's cold, dude. Well, she said to prepare yourself for the worst. She just didn't follow her own advice. The saddest part of this game for you is when we basically help in ending the whole of Gascoigne's bloodline. See, this time we're saving Gascoigne's bloodline by not saying a damn thing to him. Oh yeah, speaking of Gascoigne, we can cheese him for this run here. How's this work? Oh. Let's be real, we're not really going to use the glove so much anymore. Your boy Deadshot her over here, shooting first, asking questions later. This ain't a lore run no mo. For sure. gas coin. I guess I should have had a better one-liner prepared for this. Past coin. I don't know. He softly says sorry when we kill him. I guess I should have, like, super tried to kill him as a human form. That would have been funny. Thanks for the GGs. It's basically become a shooter? Yeah. We could go back to the dream, get the emblem, undo Amelia super quickly too. Or just run through Old Yharnam. You guys know what's coming. The fake out. We still have it. We shouldn't because it's a key item. Okay. We did kill the Cleric Beast this time around. Well, it wouldn't have mattered because we had the badge. So we should still be able to buy the Hunter emblem. Hunter Chief emblem. Lord have mercy, Jesus. I was showing Eileen I came prepared. I mean, yeah, that's what I said. Leave the doll. If anything, I should probably just level a bunch of stamina so I can run a bit more. What was I doing? Oh, yeah. Because at this point, the echoes are just chilling.
And eat very well. Farewell, good hunter.
That was me just keeping you guys on your toes. Elson says, living in London, when you saw Bloodborne for the first time, you're so surprised. It's awesome because the architecture is a lot like the few places left here. Yeah. Somebody stop me? I don't think anybody's going to stop me with this boomstick. When Reborn is in Advent Plaza, maybe... Oh yeah, we could do skips. We could sequence break. It's a little bit late, but still possible. Go back down to the woods there. Give me the bullets. The real beast is the hunter all along. Suspicious beggar's right. He did nothing wrong. Those people were already there. Drops 3 spines as a nod to the Trinity. Get to show those things off again. You're taking the visceral to flex at this point? Yeah. At least the last one, I was doing it to... Oh yeah, we can't go that way. I did the visceral to regain some of the health that I used for the emergency bullets. Oh, we could talk to Ariana and them. I don't really think they say anything right here. Ow. No, the crow drops antidotes? Did not really anticipate. Because I think if we haven't beaten Amelia, we really can't transfer. Oh crap, we shot the dude. No, we didn't. I need to talk to the dude. It'll. Yeah, let's at least open the gates. We could kill Fake Yosefka for the Ud and Writhe rune and refill the bullets with viscerals. The sound effects for the guns never fail to amaze you. They're the best gun sounds you've heard in the game. little note over here. Really easy to miss. Thought that those are bullets. There's our dog. You want to know how... sorry. How each one here actually reacted to the brain suckers sucking you? For you, you'd have to see your face because you can't describe it. I don't even really remember the first time it happened, to be honest. What happens if you do the coffin skip before you beat any of the bosses? So you can go back to Gascoigne and reset the game to the evening phase. Like, you know, the second evening, not like the first evening phase. Which is pretty cool to show off. Let's get our wood shield times 2. I'll be honest, the amygdala surprised me for a second just because of that. I wasn't expecting it. How did I visceral him? Alright, well we did. Can't do anything about Amy. Any insight on why the Uden rune is linked to Gascoigne's daughter? Wife named after a musical instrument in the music besting the beast in the tomb of Uden. So, as for why his daughter would have the formless Uden rune, my general idea is that Uden is probably trying to interact with literally anything it can if it has decent enough blood. But with the daughter being a little girl, she isn't a suitable candidate for like an intermingling, so to speak. So that's just kind of how I look at it. The first time you saw Brainsucker was big for you because at that point there were no other enemies like it that you'd seen and you didn't want to spoil it for yourself what was in the game. So the first one I saw I think was in the, you know, here in Cathedral Ward, but it was the one over in like the back ways over there. And so I saw it hunched over and I visceraled it, and so I didn't understand like how it's scary. But I don't remember the first time I got sucked.
What a queer scent.
In the game.
But I'd take it over the stench of blood and beasts any day. What is it then? I'm off during hunts, and besides, this is no place for ladies. Wouldn't want to drag you down too.
Phobos asks, was that a dev message on the gate? You're probably just thinking of the messengers that pull the lever for the Hunters chief emblem.
I'm off during hunts, and besides, this is no place for ladies.
Yeah, I think I might not have gotten grabbed until like Bergenworth, which at that point it's not too ridiculous. So yeah, since we haven't killed Amelia or the other side bosses, we can't unlock them. Although maybe it's because we didn't.
What you think? Well, I'll have nothing. Oh, enough. Oh, enough.
Alright, let's go ahead and reset just to make sure it's not because we didn't already have like the chapel dialogue or the chapel dweller dialogue option unlocked. I saw what you did right there in the game, and don't you say anything? Too late. Do you need to kill 3 bosses? Okay. I thought there was like a side boss requirement to it, but I just didn't fully remember. I'm still kind of astounded that that's working each time. Not just like the one shot, but the visceral thing. the sudden pop in. Any boss is fine. It's all good. Just want to, you know, double, triple check. Poison knives. Shabaka stone is like a Bloodborne rune? I don't know what the Shabaka stone is. So yeah, I did hear that the Garden of Ides made the Cleric Beast
Besides,
shortcut
I'm
operable.
off during hunt.
Okay.
Oh, enough with you.
It's kind of an interesting little detail. See, I think if I remember correctly, my first time playing through the game, I like went down into Old Yharnam a bit, but I really wanted the Hunter Chief emblem, so I farmed for it. So I talked to Aryan and I couldn't get her, so after I killed the Bloodstarved Beast, I came back and then sent her over to the thing. In your experience, they get the grabs off more often on you since you feel like you're used to them and let your guard down, like when you're grinding. Hey, Manny Stegall, welcome back to the stream. Actually, I don't remember your name. Well, welcome into the stream. So yeah, we've already cleared the game. We're just kind of seeing how much more the game is broken in New Game Plus with the glitched out arcane rifle spear build. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. There we go. Can't see. I should probably have equipped Numbing Mist at this point, because we're not getting as much DPS. I mean, our DPS is the same, it's just it's not. The mileage is varied. Shouldn't have healed twice. Am I stuck in the wall? Can't tell. Oh no, I'm stuck. I'm stuck. There we go. Switch that. Okay. That was all delayed. So Amelia was my first wall boss. Like, she wrecked me my first time playing through. But with that being said, I also was trying to be like stubborn and stay super low level so I could get like summoned in for other people and help them out. And then I fought her and got angry. Oh, that was lucky on my part. That's not what I was trying to do at all. Oh, the head breakage was real. Sweet. Do we have any more on who this boss is? You can't remember her name? Vicar Amelia? It's just Vicar Amelia. Let me scroll up. Alright, you got sucked out in the choir building because you weren't taking those dudes seriously enough. My favorite Bloodborne video on YouTube ever is just titled Please Stop. And it's this dude who loses like 18 or 20 insight because he kept getting like chain grabbed as he was trying to heal from the previous grab. And it's just hilarious. Like, there's no commentary or anything. It's just titled Please Stop. It's a work of art, really. The fact that Amelia and Cleric Beast both have the same theme music just makes you believe more that the real Cleric Beast was the woman together with Amelia in the DLC. We saw, at least in this version of the game, even Queen Yharnam had messed up music, but I don't remember if the Queen Yharnam fight uses that same track. So I think it's an interesting idea that the Cleric Beast could be with... Oh, it lived. Those jerks, I'm gonna get frenzied. And I just took off the sedatives, otherwise I would have been able to undo it. That's funny. Please link that video. I'll need to remember to do that. And if you're in the Discord, if you remind me later, I will. Oh, this thing can live. Really a tiny bit of health back. Alright. Let's run to like the Shadows of Yharnam. And then I'll probably just stop after the Shadows of Yharnam, depending on whether like they clap me or not. Perhaps the possibility is that the wet nurse is like a nightmarish fusion of Murgo's fears and the maternal revenge instinct of Queen Yharnam after seeing what they did with her child. I don't know if the Queen Yharnam has anything to do with the wet nurse, but I have also wondered whether or not the wet nurse is a manifestation of like Murgo's consciousness in some form.
That path.
That video sounds really relatable. Mine is the one of the guy getting an internet disconnect, which takes you back to the title screen right when he's about to kill the Crow of Caners. You have one guy on YouTube that posted a hilarious video against the fight against 200s in the back of the cathedral area. Oh man, that fight can be super annoying. Did I actually go back and... Oh, I don't think I ever went back to kill them after we got this build, because I meant to leave the rifle spear guy alive just to give him a taste of his own medicine. I think I forgot to do that. So if we do the Shadows of Yharnam, I'll probably end with that rifle spear guy and the Tonitrous Huntsman as well. Because they deserve to feel the brunt of this build. Their infinite Quicksilver bullet shenanigans. What's the deal with the church giants? Are they like mutated people? So internally at one point they're just called like Frankins of the Healing Church. So they could have been meant to be like cobbled together corpses of people to create that monster, essentially. And the undead giants in the Chalice dungeons are called like undead or like flesh golems. So I think it's a good strong possibility that they're fused from people. Although that still doesn't explain why they're all like that giant and whatnot. The messed up shadows are funny. So I think last time I almost got wrecked by the damn cannon. So watch it happen right now. Okay. Oh no. That was a little bit scary. They're basically Frankenstein monsters, kinda. But I mean, that could have just been like an internal name. Like, the Gardens of Eyes are called Cthulhu spiders. So there's, you know, some question as to the validity of the titles that they've been given. Or snake puppet. Oh. Gotta shoot those guys 3 times? That's a lot. I always think it's this way, but it's to the left. Starting to get better about it, but that's like the ironically the spot in the Forbidden Woods that I get the most turned around at. Oh, you still don't understand the church giants and the brick trolls? So brick trolls, I mean, it seems like they might just have some like really big stupid people in this world in general, because the brick trolls are kind of like the merciless watchers in the Chalice dungeons, I think, but like the modern Yharnam equivalent. And I don't really think there's too much of an equivalent to like the church servants. So, oh, I don't remember if I actually did remember to say. I think like maybe the Yetis and the Nightmare Frontier and Nightmare of Mensis could be like the Lauren version of the church servant giants, but don't really fully believe that. It's just kind of a thought that I've had. They also have the shackles on their ankles. Are the giants of the swamp and the Forbidden Woods somehow linked to the church giants? I think so. I mean, one of the questions about the church is, did they produce those giants themselves, or did they just go down to the Chalice dungeons and get them and somehow take control of them? At least in Yahar'gul, we do see that like there's a bunch of the Dumerian Chime Maidens potentially working with the School of Mensis, so maybe they got the church giants from the Mad Women? I don't really know, but it's fun to consider. So this time around, instead of like following the one half of the forest, I've just kind of followed the lights, and this takes you directly to the river. If we go left, we'll unlock the next shortcut. So the pig's all the way back this way. That should drop 4 vials. I feel cheated. The Yetis seem to have been whipped. They have the scars on their backs. They also have the scars on their chests too. But yeah, I don't think I pointed that out this run. I probably need to repair this weapon now that I think about it. I really don't know how this fight's going to work with this build. I'm a little bit low on resources, so if they're super tanky, I could probably die here. Do you think how fast you can progress through the game early on can be very based on how soon your build starts becoming effective? That's also just like general game knowledge, like and also the way you approach the game. Like if you try to like mano a mano and kill like every enemy that can appear on screen, that'll definitely slow you down. Versus, you know, kind of like speedrunning or like knowing the various enemies' placements. And even like which weapon you're using can still have a really big effect on things. As opposed to just like when your build goes on, gets good, I guess. But that kind of also leads into what you were saying. You think there might also be a speculative biology book called Man After Man? It's kind of fringe, but it's possible the frontier might be in the future rather than the past. That's an interesting thought, because I think like most people would say like the nightmares are from the past originally. Leave that guy be. A reference to a speculative biology book. Okay. No old hunter summons. Is there anything I should buff myself with? I really think I can. Actually, now that I think about it, I wonder. Okay, I guess I can't. I was gonna wonder if it would like buff the flat damage even further. No big deal. Yep. Do I think instincts are akin to an in real life example of the wills of the dead? Is there any specific instincts, or do you just mean like in general? Derek thinks the weapon can make a big difference. It definitely can. Like, if you're using the threaded cane against the Cleric Beast in Amelia, you will have a much more difficult time than someone using the axe or the cleaver. Just because it's a lot worse at limb breaking, especially early on, its base damage is lower. So, unless you're like using the serrated version, but then it's kind of slower, so there's like trade-offs. We can't assume Great Ones are outside of time, and DS3 did do something similar with its DLC. Alright, so let's try to YOLO this one, and record again, just for the heck of it. Oh, a little bit slow on that. Oh, this is the mace one? I wanted the candle guy. Oh, I'm stuck on the wall, stuck on the wall. Get off the wall. I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead. Okay. I'll give it another attempt. Or two. Gun versus knife boss fight. Ended up dodging like forward when I also wanted to go like back and to the right. So just like a little bit of input lag, I guess. I should have sent the elevators back up. With the cane, you better go arcane and use the flame sprayer and Molotovs. You don't have to go arcane with the cane. You can do like the full skill build, but it's a bit rough until the weapons really get upgraded. And that's the other thing. Like, if you upgrade your weapons early, that can make a huge difference versus a lot of the bosses and whatnot. So I'm pretty confident this run back is actually faster than the other way, but I don't know. Maybe I just screwed this up. Yeah, I think I was supposed to just keep going straight. Okay. Okay, so that's the water. We should be fine. Okay, here it is. It's a long run each way, though. This thing isn't going to... Oh, I screwed that up. A little bit. Your first weapon was the cane. It was rough learning the game with that. Yeah, especially if you have no idea about the different damage types. So I think like Demon Souls does it a bit better in terms of like use thrust weapon against the next enemy to establish that there is difference in the types of damage you can do and how effective it is. But yeah. It also says, any insights to be gained from why the shadows drop Blood Rapture? They're also connected to the Wet Nurse. So with the Blood Rapture rune, it does say that it's given to those who serve the Queen. And since, you know, the Shadows of Yharnam serve a Blood Queen in the form of Queen Yharnam, and the Bloody Crow might serve the Blood Queen of Queen Annalise, I think it's supposed to be a thematic connection between Tumaru and Canehurst. You think it's your best choice if you want to do range damage, since tricked form is great for staggering things at a distance. Oh, I see what you mean, but yeah. It's a little bit difficult to get the arcane build running unless you know what you're doing with it. Yeah. Like, it takes a bit more setting up compared to other builds. again. That sucks. Pulled out the old rifle or saw cleaver when I was trying to use the emergency bullets. I like how close these guys are. Probably switch out my targets. Yeah, these guys have a lot more health. Oh crap. Oh, that was pretty dicey. So I need the candle dude, right? Oh. You definitely learned the game a bit better for using the cane first. Once you got the Blades of Mercy, you never switched back. I'm a little bit surprised they haven't transformed yet. Oh crap, that did a lot of damage. Chill, please. That did amazing damage. Uh-oh, that's not good. That was terrifying. Was its reflection in the water? Oh no, that's just the grave. Try to. I'm actually really lucky I didn't run out of bullets right then, because I wasn't paying attention to that whatsoever. Actually, should we do Rom? Try to. She'll probably be too tanky. So yeah, this is definitely a fun experiment in terms of like doing the lore through as well as just a different kind of playthrough. It's a little unfortunate we couldn't make the build work natively in 1.0. Is there any lore on these three musketeers? So it's unknown why they have the snakes in them, because the versions in the Nightmare of Mensis don't have any snakes. So potentially they might have been infected by like parasites, and I guess that imbued them with stronger powers. In some of the earlier builds they tried to make a gigantic snake ball boss, but they cut it back for whatever reason. And where's our moon? Way over there. And then once we go to Bergenworth, it'll appear over there. It would have been great if I fought Wet Nurse before Yharnam instead of a reused boss. Oh, do you mean in general, or just like in terms of the way that I ordered the playthrough? Can we tell the lore of this boss in a nutshell? So these dudes are the guardians of Queen Yharnam. They're kind of her royal guard. And why they're here is a little bit strange. A lot of people are like, oh, they're probably blocking the way into Bergenworth because that's where we find Queen Yharnam next. But they still feel fairly out of place. They just kind of, they literally pop up out of nowhere when you fight them. But I mean, that's kind of like most of the bosses in this game, to be honest. Oh, that was a lot more damage. I guess they're weak to the arcane. Didn't know that. Shepherd Book, thank you. We're gonna do the... Oh yeah, the Hunters in the Cathedral Ward. Yeah, we need to get our revenge. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, you meant in the dungeons.
Hello, and you will too.
I was like, why is she saying that? I forgot that I shot her. Well, we just extended ourselves beyond the meta PvP level range. Whoops. You wonder if the snake ball was meant to be underground and its boss fight buried? I was wondering that, but that might have just been like some way that they could have salvaged some of their assets. It would have been cool if it did like burrow out of the ground though. And if it could have connected, I guess it could have. But I guess I didn't see the Grand Cathedral, or I just thought Cathedral Warden zoned out. Whatever. Actually, I wonder if the Snatcher appears in the Forbidden Woods. It might not. You can check by the hunters. Okay, so that's how I accidentally shot before. So this is a lesser known thing, and maybe it got patched out, but I did this before. Like, I jumped off this roof to actually get to that platform there. It took a few tries, so I'll just like maybe try once. Oh, that's not it. Didn't realize there's more of a gap there. It's kind of funny. Do you think it's been a vast span of time from the birth of Murgo to when the School of Ventus tried to use the umbilical cord to commune with Murgo? Depending if you believe like the Yharnam stone is a Murgo or like a different infant, I think that could change like perspectives. But I would assume so. But if you do believe that like Murgo could have been the potential child of like Annalise that was stolen from her, but I think that would have, essentially been more cut content than anything. Okay, I could have angled it a bit better, but it is possible. And that's how I, like, accidentally... Well, I mean, it was definitely on purpose. That's how I killed, like, the beast-possessed soul from the other side of the door, so I didn't actually know what it was until my second playthrough, going through the normal way. So to answer Joseph's question, the short answer is yes. It probably was a long time, but we never know for sure. Feels bad, man. I think it was smart for them to add in the sale of blood rocks later. Oh, that was nice. Shoot it in its freaking face. See, he's not even using the rightful spear rights. That's what he gets for all the other times he shot me in the face. Elson said, did you hear me say in one of the videos that Gehrman knows Willem in a cutscene or something? He says, why is it taking him so long? So, yes, that's actually still in the game. If you do all of the stuff with Gehrman's dialogue and everything like that, occasionally he'll be over by like where the stump messengers are, and he'll just call out to Lawrence and Willem while he's like asleep in the back room over there. I guess it's not really a room, but like the back space. Does the Half-Baked Devil ID have Japanese translation? So it's like calling it the Half-Baked Devil is a translation from the Japanese. So the Japanese for it is Nari Sokonai Jashin. And Nari Sokonai means like something that failed to form or become. And Jashin is evil god, which is also like the internal file name for the amygdala. Although I like saying Jashin implies like evil god makes it sound like it's bigger than it may be. I don't know. Like Jashin isn't as like evil. Hold on, is it may not sound. Saying Jashin doesn't necessarily like imply as grandiose a thing as it might seem like at first. But joshing, in some ways, has been disambiguated. Like, if you type it into Google, you'll probably see, like, an entry on Wikipedia or something, I'm sure. Phobos says, do you think even From forgets what should and shouldn't be in their game sometimes? Definitely. I feel like a lot of people who played, like, Dark Souls 3 would probably just go on tangents if we're asking that question. Elson says, how does Gehrman know Willem if he is alive? Why isn't Willem contacted Gehrman? Well, Gehrman is in the dream. Willem is kind of a vegetable. And so, based on cut content, Gehrman might have been the scholar that, like, betrayed Willem and brought the blood to Canehurst. But, you know, that could have been retconned, so it's really hard to say for sure. But, for what it's worth, Gehrman does say, like, Master Willem. So he does place more respect on Willem than Lawrence, so Gehrman might have just been an older student or employee of Bergenworth than Lawrence was. My personal headcanon is that I think it's more likely that Gehrman was like a tomb prospector for Bergenworth and like killed the monsters and the chalices when they first went down. But, alright everybody who's joined in and watched these streams after the fact. Thank you very much for participating and everything that you're doing to help sustain the channel. We will do some more stuff in the future. I don't know when the next stream will be. I was potentially thinking of streaming Death Stranding, but there's more content that I also want to finish before January. So I feel a little bit more pressed for time overall. So Joseph says, maybe the One Reborn could be like a mature form of the failed bloodchild of Canehurst? I don't know about that. Like an inverted Advent / Second Coming, especially since it appears only after meeting the Queen post-Rom. I don't know. So, how does he know him? If he is alive, hasn't Willem contacted Gehrman? So, I think, going back to the whole, like, betrayal thing, even if Willem did know and had the ability to try to save Gehrman, he might not have wanted to because he felt betrayed, but we don't really know. But I think those are good questions. Dark Souls 2? We'll see. Have I played Death Stranding? No. I've watched others play bits of it, but I haven't played it myself. So, if I did stream it, it would be like the director's cut version, so I don't really know if it really just kind of trivializes the game, but who knows? We'll see. So, yes, once again, everybody, thank you for dropping in, and take care. Hope to see you next time. And remember, fear the old lore.